Welcome on into Chosen Few Fighting Championships number 14. Along with Chris Garrity, I'm Rich Reynolds, and we are being flanked by some beautiful bookends who are wearing brand new Chosen Few Fighting Championship uniforms as well. We got the lovely Katie and the lovely Tori over there, and we thank them for joining us as well. They are looking good, and so is this card that we have tonight, Chris. A lot of fights, a lot of good action at the top of the card, especially Patrick Delgado going up against Brandon Suber, two kind of grizzled type of veterans, crafty guys in the cage.
Yeah, first card we've done where there aren't any title fights on it, but you don't need it when you've got a main event like this one. Patrick Delgado, of course, a jiu-jitsu ace we've seen on the card multiple times, and then Suber, who's one of the most grizzled veterans, I think, number of fights-wise we've ever had here at the Chosen Few. So that is going to be a great back-and-forth battle, I think, between those two guys. It's really going to be a stand-up versus ground war. We'll see if Delgado takes it to the ground. I think he will take the fight, but what we've seen out of Suber is if you can get it to the late rounds, you might be in trouble.
Other interesting professional fights on the card as well. Darren Oler fighting a guy out of Mongolia. None of us can say his name. I really think there's about 20 vowels that are in his name. Amara is his nickname. I'm going with that. He's making his U.S. debut, going up against Darren, who hasn't fought in a while, hasn't won in an even longer time.
So I think the fighters in this fight are going to be about as clueless at it as we are. You know, again, you make your U.S. debut, which means there's probably no video on it. So Darren Oler has really nothing to look back on. But then again, this kid coming in to fight Darren can look at Darren's old tape and think, well, has he improved? Does he still fight the same way? What's good for us, though, is that surprise factor. We don't know what's going to happen. So as with why we love MMA, we get to see.
Should be interesting indeed. We also see the return of Dante Sciro defending his AMI belt. We didn't see him in the last Chosen Few after a very active 2017. He hasn't fought yet here in 2018. So we're also expecting GM3 to stop by. Lots of good stuff. Hey, Katie's here, Tori's here. It's going to be a great night. Stick around. Chosen Few Fighting Championships number 14 next here on 57 Sports. All right, we are just getting started from the Monona Terrace Convention Center cage side, along with Chris Garrity and Gerald Mearshart. I am Rich Reynolds, and looking forward to Chosen Few Fighting Championships number 14. We start with a fight at 170 pounds. Steve Rodriguez making his way into the cage, comes in with a record of 3-3. His opponent tonight is going to be Trevin Larson, as we are just getting set. The first of 13 fights. Originally 15 fights were scheduled. 2 of them had to be scratched. Hey, man, you got to make weight. You don't want to lose the fight on the scale, and that happened a couple of times yesterday. Rodriguez and Larson, that's your Carbon World Health tail of the tape. That's Steve Rodriguez. Now, let's take a look at Trevin Larson. You know, you only get to make your cage debut once, just once. It's something that you are always going to remember, and that moment is happening right now for Trevin Larson. Larson from Mankato, Minnesota. Hey, great day to be a Mustang. The Cato Kid is his name, and he is approaching the cage again for his MMA debut as we kick off Chosen Few Fighting Championships number 14. Larson Rodriguez. That is up right after a final look at the Carbon World Health tail of the tape. Let's go up to the cage right now, and Mr. Chris Garrity with the introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, our first bout of the evening is an amateur welterweight contest scheduled for 3 rounds. Introducing first, this man fighting out of the Coliseum Bar, red corner. He weighed in at 169 ready pounds. He represents Highland Fight Systems. He hails from Sheboygan, Wisconsin. In 6 amateur bouts, he has 3 victories. Stern Steve Rodriguez. His opponent, this man fighting out of the Harley-Davidson of Madison, blue corner. He represents MSU Mankato Mixed Martial Arts and hails from Little Falls, Minnesota. He is making his amateur cage debut right here for the Chosen Few Fighting Championships. He weighed in at 171 pounds, the Cato Kid, Trevin Larson.
Chris Garrity pushing his voice a little bit tonight, coming in with a bit of a weaker voice. That is something very odd for him as he makes his way cage side, and we are ready to go with Chosen Few Fighting Championships number 14, Rodriguez and Larson. And again, Larson making his cage debut. Big crowd still filing into the Monona Terrace here tonight. Usually a packed house. This should be no difference here tonight. We're actually seeing these fights happen on Cinco de Mayo on a gorgeous night in southern Wisconsin. And so a lot of competition out there besides coming to the fights. Hey, you can barbecue, you can grill out, you can go out on the lake. Lots of things to do here in Madison tonight. But none better than this and none better than the flurry right now from Steve Rodriguez.
Right now it looks like Steve Rodriguez is trying to get a choke locked in and gives up a big slam to Larson. Larson needs to establish side control. Now he's going to half guard. He's got to look to get his hips down, get his head up, and make some space to land some ground and pound here and really try to get ahead on the scorecards as they were pretty even standing on the feet in the opening of the round.
And good power from Trevin Larson right there to pick him up and drop him like that. Really get out of a position that he was in a lot of trouble in for a second there.
Used his strength to accomplish that. And Gerald, you know, talking about the fact this is his debut in the cage. Do you remember yours now that you got 35 professional title fights out of the way?
Oh, I still remember like it was yesterday. It didn't look quite this good, but but I remember it. Chris was there. He saw the whole thing.
Yeah. And you remember it too? You've seen a lot of fights, Chris.
You should have seen how skinny this kid was when he first started too.
Good stuff. Good stuff happening in the cage right now, especially for Larson. He has been on top now for the better part of a minute and going to work again on Steve Rodriguez. Rodriguez taking a good punch to the side of the face, blocks another one coming down from Larson.
Yeah, Larson doing a real good job staying heavy on top. He's posturing up and pushing his hips in towards his opponent to keep him down. Now he's got kind of a modified cradle position locked in. He's trying to flatten Steve Rodriguez out again to land some more strikes. And Steve Rodriguez doing all he can to get a hold of a leg and try and work his way back up.
I've always had a love-hate relationship with amateur MMA, but one thing that has surprised me so far, well, up until now with Rodriguez in the dominant position, was how a debut fighter was able to dominate for the first half of the round, and now here's where maybe the 6 bouts that Rodriguez has been in is going to show his experience a little bit, or not.
Yeah, Rodriguez taking an elbow to the face. There is blood on his face. I believe it is coming out of the face of Rodriguez. It's now ending up on the left arm and the back side of Trevin Larson.
So that's twice we've seen Rodriguez on the bottom really do a great job getting to the legs and coming up almost like a wrestling come up to finish a takedown. Now what he needs to do is what he did similar to right there is establish control on top and not give it up.
Larson makes it through his first round of his debut. We'll come back and see round number 2 right after this. It's Chosen Few Fighting Championships 14 on 57 Sports. Taking a look at some of the replays there. Good high kick there from Rodriguez early on, but like you guys were kind of surprised by Trevin Larson and what he was able to accomplish in round number 1.
Well, on my scorecard, Rich, I am giving Larson this first round just because he did spend the majority of it in a dominant position and he did the most damage, which you can see on Rodriguez's face.
Round 2 now, Larson starting around his mouth a little bit open as, again, I think the heart kind of races in your debut and you really are going to have a check on your conditioning. First round out of the way, and it starts with a left kick to the lower body by Rodriguez. Left hook by Larson. He tried a couple of those. Good hammer punch there by Rodriguez. Connected and moved Larson back. Now a good kick to the midsection, and it's Rodriguez scoring as a striker here in round number 2.
So someone with Larson's range needs to be using long, straight strikes to keep that distance where he has an advantage. And now we see him shooting in. Didn't really look too comfortable on the feet. Nice little scramble there. He's still got a hold of the leg, and it looks like Steve Rodriguez is really selling out to get this submission here. He's got to be careful not to give up that top position to Larson again and get right down on. But now it looks like he's very close to locking up an armbar.
Larson looking to get out of this jam right here as he's in a bit of trouble, but he got away from it now and now is back into a dominant position.
Extremely impressed by Trevin Larson right now. That was a pretty good job by Rodriguez to keep hold of the arm as long as he did, and actually almost got to the extension point, but the strength of Trevin Larson still in the second round, especially after you get that initial debut, adrenaline dump, that was pretty impressive getting out of that armbar.
One of the things that we usually don't see from the amateurs that we'll see later on from the professionals is good defensive work, and that was actually a nice job by Larson getting out of some early trouble here in round number 2. Larson continues to be in the dominant position. This crowd still filing into the Monona Terrace. They will be in full throat a little bit later on. A lot of local fighters at the top of the card. We're also going to see Dante Sciro defend his amateur title at 170 pounds.
And so now we're back in this position. It seems to be the story of the fight so far is Steve Rodriguez coming in early and then ultimately giving up a position while trying to secure a submission and allowing a taller fighter in Larson to posture up and just kind of control him and land strikes on the ground. And this is ultimately what's losing him the fight right now. He needs to stay on top once he gets those good positions and not necessarily sell out for the finish. Okay.
Couple of good shots from Larson, but almost got caught in an armbar in there. What's kind of surprising, too, this is the 7th amateur fight for Steve Rodriguez, but actually the more accomplished fighter right now looks to be Trevin Larson.
Well, on the ground for sure. One thing Gerald was starting to talk about before the fight went to the ground was actually how amateur Larson does look on the feet, which he does. Pawing his hands out there, leaning forward. His chin was hanging wide open. Gerald was about to say he should be staying back, throwing the straights, because he has more length on a fighter like Rodriguez. He can keep him at bay by throwing a lot of jabs and making sure that Rodriguez isn't going to be able to throw any power punches. But smart enough to know he's not going to be better on the feet and got it right to the ground and took round 2.
Good action there in round number 2. Once again, Trevin Larson, impressive. We'll see if this one goes the distance. Third and final round next here on 57 Sports. Second round action on display. You see a big right hand there from Steve Rodriguez, another kick as well. But there it is, Trevin Larson being able to shoot the leg pretty easily. Once he got on the ground, he was able to score points and take this second round. Good shots there, blood coming from the face of Rodriguez, and we are set for the third and final round right here. And we'll see if Rodriguez has something up his sleeve for the inexperienced Trevin Larson.
If I'm in Steve Rodriguez's corner right now, I'm telling him to keep his distance on the feet, try to land those kicks, and really try to put something together where it seems Larson's uncomfortable. And then if it does go to the ground, like I've been saying the whole fight, stay on top. Don't worry about the submission. Really make him open up from damage and then worry about securing the victory.
It seems like Rodriguez has been able to score with kicks both to the lower body and to the midsection, but has struggled to defend Larson's ability to shoot the leg and then get into a dominant position, which again he was almost able to do there, but now it is Rodriguez that's got Larson in a bit of trouble.
He's in a lot of trouble right here. He's still scrambling, doing a good job. Nope, now it looks like he's just about out of it. And there was another perfect example. Rodriguez had the shot all but stuffed and then decided to go jump guard for that choke and ultimately ended up giving position. A good armbar set up here, just can't quite secure it. Larson's got the elbow out now. He's pretty much out of danger, and there it goes. Just a matter of time before he's back on top. Larson here is ill in danger of a triangle, but just staying on top, staying dominant, and it looks like he's going to ride out the rest of this round to his debut victory.
Larson has almost walked into an armbar a few times here in this fight. Now back in a dominant position once again. He's been in trouble, but he's been able to survive and score in what has been an impressive debut so far. Takes a look at the screen, probably checking the time. We are halfway through the third round, Mr. Larson, so pay attention to your opponent. A lot of time left in this cage.
He doesn't seem to be worried at all about the submissions from Rodriguez, which is crazy considering that Rodriguez has almost locked an armbar up on him twice. But I think the strength difference he feels being on top is what's, I guess, giving him the confidence to really leave his arms straight while he's postured up, but also look up at the screen and not worry about too much what Rodriguez's hips are doing.
We saw in Chosen Few Fighting Championships number 13 how looking at the screen can cost you. It cost Brody Joseph in his debut. We don't want to see that same mistake here for Larson. Larson, by the way, landed a good right while we were talking as well as he continues to tally up points here. Final, 35 seconds of round number 3.
One thing I've been very impressed with this whole fight by Larson is not giving up on the submission escapes. He never settles in one position until he's completely out, and that's one thing you don't see in a lot of amateurs. They might kind of concede the submission, but never giving up and always finding a way to get out, always keep it moving. I really like that out of Larson.
Good, strong punches to the side of the face of Steve Rodriguez. He looks none the worse for wear. In fact, actually, he looks the worse for wear right now, and he's getting some again from Trevin Larson. Larson with some blows to finish up his first ever amateur fight, and what very possibly is his first victory. We will go to the judges right after this and get the decision from Chris Garrity on 57 Sports. Action from round number 3 as you take a look at a defeated Steve Rodriguez. At least we think he is, and it's because he suffered a lot of damage from one Trevin Larson. Larson using his strength at several times, Gerald, to escape from some pretty serious holds by Rodriguez.
Right, and here we see really the story of the fight. Rodriguez getting the initial stuff, and then Larson getting it to the mat, defending those submissions and landing strikes from the top.
That right there, almost an armbar as well, but it is Larson who's able to break free and then get some damage in as we are still waiting the official decision right now. It's a good shot, though, of all of the replays there from our third and final round. So a little bit of a delay here as they're getting the word from the judges. Our judges here tonight, by the way, that are sitting cage side, we got Anthony Zamatalo, Melody Wickers, and Gabriel Sabatis all sitting cage side, and I think that the decision just about ready. I see Matt Murphy over there talking with Chris, and still waiting on the decision. All right then. Well, if nothing else, we get to look at the crowd here tonight, still filing in to the Monona Terrace, and check everybody out as Chris now has a decision, has a mic in hand, and he's just about set to head on up to the cage and give us the word. I'm still hoping that his voice lasts the night.
You and me both, Rich. You and me both.
All right, here we go. Chris is ready with the decision.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of welterweight action, we go to the judges' scorecards. Judge Sabatis and Judge Zamatala score the bout 30-27, while Judge Wickers has it 30-26, all in favor of your winner by unanimous decision. And fighting out of the blue corner, Trevin Larson.
Well, it was a long time coming, but pretty much the decision that we thought. He pitched a shutout on 2 judges' scorecards, 1 2 out of 3 on the other one, and Trevin Larson wins his debut here at Chosen Few Fighting Championships number 14. All right, second fight coming up will be still at 170 pounds as Rudy Hernandez Martinez takes on William Kemp. That's next here on 57 Sports. All right, here is William Kemp coming to the cage, being flanked by Gonzalo Ponce. We're going to see him a little bit later on as Kemp fights out of Felipe Barbosa. as we take a look at the Carbon World Health tail of the tape. As Kemp at 5'10", so is Rudy Hernandez as well. Both guys weighing in at 170 for tonight's matchup. Again, second of 13 fights that we're going to have here on 57 Sports. Tell you what, I do a lot of interviews on my television show, The Sports News on Wisconsin's 57, and I had an opportunity to interview this man right here 2 weeks ago, Rudy Martinez. And when you talk to him, you meet this guy, he's kind of infectious. It's one of those kind of guys that as soon as you meet, as soon as you talk to him, you instantly root for him. Local kid right here out of Madison. All right, Rudy Martinez getting a nice round of applause. Yeah, he's a local guy. They love him here. Let's go up to the introduction.
Bout of the evening begins with this fighter coming out of the Coliseum Bar red corner. He weighed in at 167 pounds. He hails from Tomah, Wisconsin, making his cage debut right here for the Chosen Few Fighting Championships. He represents Felipe Barbosa, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Academy. Ladies and gentlemen, William Kemp. His opponent, this man, fighting out of the Harley-Davidson of Madison blue corner. He is also making his cage debut right here for the Chosen Few Fighting Championships. He weighed in at 170 ready pounds. He represents the Chosen Few. Ladies and gentlemen, from Tegucigalpa, Honduras, Rudy Hernandez Martinez.
Originally from Honduras, now from Madison, Wisconsin, Rudy Martinez making his cage debut, going up against William Kemp here in our second fight of the night. And again, you know, you try to not be biased when you're an announcer, but I had a chance to talk with Rudy, and he seems like just such a nice guy, and I'm really pulling for him here. Landed a quick left as well, and now is trying to go to work against Kemp here as a striker.
Yeah, Rudy definitely looks comfortable on the feet so far, not afraid to get in there and mix out of the fire. Great catch to a takedown. Generally don't see people catching inside leg kicks, but he took advantage of a bad kick thrown, and now he's in a mount position. And this looking like it could be close to the end right here.
Wow, a couple of good right hands from Martinez. Martinez with a wrestling background here in Madison, and he used that to his advantage to take down Kemp. And Kemp back to his feet and landing a good left to Martinez.
Tough stand-up from Kemp there.
Good right now by Martinez, and a flurry. And the crowd going wild here as both fighters exchanging punches.
Kemp's hurt right now. Martinez can go in there and jump on him. There you go, landing some good shots. It's good not to be eager, but in my opinion, if I was in Rudy's corner, I'd tell him to go get him at that point. Good job by Kemp to stay alive in this fight.
Kemp trying to clear some cobwebs, now gets in too close to Martinez, and Martinez an easy takedown, and now goes back into mount and landing that right hand, and a good flurry of punches. Kemp's in trouble. It's over. Rudy Martinez ends it quickly here in his amateur debut, and an impressive style as he was able to take down Kemp twice and then use a flurry of rights and lefts to get his first victory. I got a smile that's a mile wide on my face. I'm happy for this kid right here. Rudy Martinez getting the win, and taking a look at how he finished off Kemp right here in the mount position and just landing punches. And on the amateur fight, you know, they're not going to let it go too long.
No, not at all. Great job by Martinez. Looked really good inside with those tight looping punches. Really rocked Kemp early, hit it in his mark, and then as soon as he got that takedown, just stepped right into mount and let the leather fly.
Josh Derry, a proud trainer as well, as he was taking a look at Martinez. You see Damian Decora in the cage right now. Everybody happy for Rudy right here. Alex Gilpin in back of him as well. Let's get the official decision from Chris Garrity.
Ladies and gentlemen, the end of this bout comes at 1 minute 32 seconds of round number 1. For your winner by TKO, Rudy Hernandez Martinez.
What a start to the career of Rudy Martinez. A big win with a TKO in the first round of William Kemp.
Rudy,
let's hear what Rudy has to say.
Great job on your debut fight. You dominated top to bottom there. It really didn't seem to matter to you where the fight went. How comfortable were you there from the beginning?
You know, I have the best team in the Madison area, and I feel like they prepared me. I'm training with the best in the Midwest, man. I was pretty confident coming in because of them.
Any nerves going into your first fight here in Madison?
No, not at all. I know I got the crowd behind me, and I was relaxed the whole time. Just breathing, being relaxed, man.
Well, extremely impressive. We look forward to seeing you back in this cage again. Congratulations on your debut victory. One more time, ladies and gentlemen, Rudy Hernandez Martinez.
He gets a good ovation from the crowd, as it is well deserved. We hope to see Rudy Martinez back here in October. All right, 2 fights down. We got another one coming up. We go to the ladies next. Charity Labai, Sarah Jones, here next on 57 Sports.
All right, ladies.
All right, here comes Sarah Jones to the cage, fighting out of Scorpion Fighting System in Michigan. Jones entering with an amateur record of no wins, 1 loss, so her second trip into the cage, as she is getting looked over right now, making sure she's in good shape to fight, and she looks like she has taken her training seriously. As we take a look at the Carbon World Health tail of the tape, these ladies coming in, fighting at 105. All right, so we got to see Jones. Here's Charity Labai. Labai 1-0-1. She does have a draw. She also almost has a 6-pack. She's been doing some training on the midsection as she prepares for her 3rd amateur fight. As we take a look once again at the Carbon World Health tail of the tape. Once again, 2 evenly measured fighters, and both of them with limited amateur experience. Should be interesting as we see the ladies fight in the cage. Let's go once again up to Chris Garrity and the official introduction.
Ladies and gentlemen, this next bout features 3 rounds in our amateur women's 105-pound catchweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the Coliseum Bar red corner. She weighed in at 106 ready pounds. She hails from Lansing, Michigan. She represents Scorpion Fighting System, and in 3 amateur bouts has 2 victories. Welcome to the cage, Sarah Jones. Her opponent fighting out of the Harley-Davidson of Madison blue corner. She hails from Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and is undefeated. 2 amateur bouts, 2 victories. She weighed in at 103 pounds and represents Unified Martial Arts, Charity Labai.
I think I had the wrong record on Labai earlier. Got it now. She's 2-0. Jones is 2-1. So actually some experience for both of these ladies in the ring. And here we go. And the crowds usually get loud for the ladies, as Labai almost a kick right to the throat of Jones, as both ladies seem pretty content with striking here early, but Labai going for a takedown, and Jones is having none of it.
Yeah, we got some good action going early here, not afraid to start the fight off. I'm just going to say it really quick because it's been really making me curious, but for some reason Sarah Jones has Band-Aids on each of her legs, and I did not know that it was allowed to go into a fight with Band-Aids on. That's kind of interesting to me. But anyway, some good work here against the cage by Sarah Jones. She's keeping her opponent pinned against that wall there and working those knees to the body.
Well, I would think that there's a good probability that those bandages are going to come off, and it already seems like one is making its way off of one of her legs right there, as now Jones and Labai go to the ground. Jones is on top, but it seems like she's getting the worst of it right now from Labai.
Yeah, right now Sarah Jones is, kind of where she wants to be. Needs to start getting that head up, get that posture up, get her butt a little closer to the floor. But, her opponent doing a good job. She's working those legs up, trying to get that triangle going, controlling the wrist, controlling her posture. See her relock those legs up, possibly working for an arm bar. See if she can cut that angle with her hips, but keeping herself safe right now while trying to set up the submission. And there we go. There she's going for an arm bar. Pretty good setup right there.
Labai has it set up on Jones as she's in a bit of trouble here in round number one, trying to escape from this arm bar that Labai is putting her into.
Yeah, if Labai wants a submission, she's got to uncross her feet. She's got to get that left leg by the head to chop down a little bit more and try to direct her head down and toward the mat to get her to roll over and get her back on the mat. Right now, Sarah Jones doing a good job of stacking her opponent, preventing her from getting an extension.
Boy, almost all of this stuff happening on cue as Gerald Mearshart calling it as it's happening right now, and Jones still trying to get that right arm free. That has been a problem for her here in the first round.
Gerald, talk about that technicality right there on an armbar. Why is that always a mistake young fighters make, crossing the ankles? What can they not remember about not doing that in an armbar?
So I feel like just naturally that people will tend to want to cross their feet there because, it sounds like it's right, like, oh, I want to take away space by crossing my feet. And you would think that would make things tighter, but actually what it does is it makes your knees separate, which ultimately opens up the bite that you want on that arm. By unlocking your feet and pinching your knees together, it keeps that arm tight on the leg, letting you extend the arm and ultimately break it. Crossing your feet prevents that from happening.
Yeah, I would have thought the exact opposite thing, that you'd be able to use it like a vice or push down, gain some leverage, but it works against you. That's great stuff right there that you're getting from GM3. Good stuff from the ladies, too, in the first round of this fight. Round two coming up next on 57 Sports. Taking a look at first round action right here. A lot of trouble for Sarah Jones in the first round as she had that right arm basically taken away from her for the entire first round by Charity Labai, but Labai not able to get that arm bar on, and you guys explain why. That crossing of the feet working against her. She was trying to set that up. See if Jones's corner gives her a different strategy coming out here in round number two, because whatever she tried in round number one did not work for her, as Labai looking to stay perfect. She is 2-0 on her amateur career. She's not the only Labai, by the way, that we are going to see tonight. We're taking a look at Charity now, and Courtney is going to be fighting a little bit later on.
Jones seemed to definitely be more dominant fighter on the feet. Good idea by Charity to get it back to the ground. Going for that arm bar again now. If she can get her feet uncrossed and kind of get those legs to bite down a little bit more, pinch the knees together, she might be able to get it. She's definitely giving Jones some trouble and keeping herself safe, but you got to do something to improve your position or at least lock up a submission and then threaten your opponent to make it look like you're winning on the bottom in an MMA fight.
And I promise you, this is not a replay of the first round. We are actually in round number two, but it seems like we're in the exact same spot that we were in the first round. So both fighters going with the same strategy.
She should be locking up a triangle right here, Gerald. She had it when she had the armbar initially, but again, she keeps crossing her legs and losing position on that. I would just figure a smooth transition over to a triangle might be a little bit better for her.
Correct, and the way she's climbing her legs up, it definitely seems like the triangle setup would be there. And again, you can transition very easily from a triangle to an armbar, or even take the arm while you have your opponent locked in a triangle. Important to point out, too, there is a way to finish the armbar with your feet crossed and use the bite with pulling your legs towards you, but it's from a little bit different position than we're seeing here, which is why it's important to uncross those feet when going from the armbar from your back in that situation.
Jones able to escape, now kicking Labai as she's very comfortable staying on the ground and on her back. She is in no hurry to try and get up right now. Jones is going to try and take advantage, continue to kick Labai in the posterior and in the back of her thigh.
And for a fighter who's been using her legs from the bottom as well as Labai has, taking this punishment in the thighs is not something you want to sit and keep doing either.
So now Jones on top once again, trying to get into a dominant position. Well, instead, we'll take side control here from Labai.
Yeah, Charity Gooden did a good job on the bottom trying to get that lockdown on that leg there and perhaps trying to shrimp back into a guard. Jones right now kind of in this reverse side control position. She really needs to beat that far side knee. You see how she's got her leg trap right now. She can beat that far side knee and turn back towards Charity. Then she can go to a side control or a mount, but now back out, got the leg free, and now she needs to work to secure that mount position or get a more solid side control in order to posture up and do some damage.
Final 10 seconds here in round number 2. Another spirited round between Labai and Jones as we are going to go to a third and final round next here at Chosen Few Fighting Championships number 14 from Monona Terrace on 57 Sports. Replays here from our second round as both Jones and Labai doing pretty well in what seemed to be, to me at least from watching it, a pretty even second round.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they score this. Do you score more heavily towards the limited striking they've been doing, or do you score in favor of the groundwork by Charity?
I think in that round, what always happens with judges in a round that's fairly even is they usually go with the fighter that ended up in the dominant position toward the end of the round. So this very easily could be a 1-to-1 going into this third and deciding round.
It has been a pretty even fight so far. We have not seen a whole lot of striking so far. When we have, it seems like Jones has gotten the better of it, and Labai always wants to shoot that leg. She seems to be looking for it right now, but she's taking a couple shots here from Sarah Jones.
Yeah, if I'm in Jones's corner right now, I'm telling her to keep doing what she's doing right here. Keep your space. And if I'm in Charity's corner, tell her to do just that. Get in on those legs, get it to the mat. Maybe this time stay on top or at least secure those legs and work for that triangle.
Every time there's a slight opening, Labai shoots that leg, comes in. Jones has not had an answer for it right now. Still trying to stay on her feet and using leverage as she pushes Labai against the cage.
Yeah, Jones doing a good job here, kind of pinning her against the cage, just landing some Ds. Even from here, when she is this dominant control position, she can make some space, try to break off, get back to the middle of the cage where she can work some of those longer strikes and stay out of the wrestling range of Charity.
Yeah, if I'm Jones, I'm backing out of this as quick as possible. She was easily a longer, more dominant fighter on the feet. She just has to protect herself against a takedown.
Labai trying to get it to the mat, and she trips Jones and takes her down once again. Jones in trouble. She might have been better served to back away, like you said, Chris.
Yeah, she was in her corner. I didn't really hear if they were giving her any advice, but if they weren't telling her to break off that clinch, then they were telling her the wrong thing.
You know, right here, enough. Charity wants to put a stamp on this fight. She needs to, do what I've been saying all night for a lot of these amateurs. Posture up, do some damage, establish that top control, and really put a stamp on the fight. As Chris was saying, the judges really score it when it's an even round for who ends up in the dominant position. But if you can make a case even in the middle of the round and, do some flashy moves or some really dominant ground and pound, it can go a long way in swinging the judges to your favor.
Yeah, at this point, at the slow pace this fight has been, the judges are looking for those dynamic tidbits to kind of sway. One thing judges hate doing, one thing fans hate seeing, one thing fighters hate being in are draws. So they're going to try and find any way possible to give somebody a win. So right now is where you got to figure that out.
Well, we got a really tight triangle set up by Jones on the bottom. If she can just walk her walk her body to her left a little bit more and adjust that triangle position. Even with that arm in, Charity is in a lot of trouble right now.
Yeah, this looks
Labai
good,
trying
Gerald.
to get out of it. Yeah, you can see the strain on her face. She is in trouble right here. Jones is in control right now of Charity Labai, and Labai unable to break free from the vice grip of the legs of Sarah Jones.
Yeah. Right now,
10
if I'm
seconds,
Jones's
Rich.
corner, I'm yelling to get that head down, and she might be able to get the tap, but short time here. She'll probably survive the end of this round.
And there it is, the final whistle for the end of round number 3. That means this fight now is in the hands of the judges. We'll get the official decision right after this. Jones and Labai and Chosen Few Fighting Championships number 14 on 57 Sports. Action from round number 3 between Jones and Labai. It looked like Labai had the advantage early on in this round, but it was Sarah Jones who nearly locked in the triangle and won this fight without it going the distance, Gerald.
Yeah, in my opinion, Jones kind of stole that round. It'll be interesting to see what the judges call it, but I'm thinking Jones won that fight.
It was a pretty even fight. We had it 1-1 going to the final round, so we'll see if the judges agreed with us as Chris Garrity is back up in the cage right now to give us the
ladies and
decision.
gentlemen, before we get to an official decision, one more round of applause for a great fight. After 3 rounds of 105-pound women's action, we go to the judges' scorecards. All 3 judges have scored this bout the same, 29-28 in favor of your winner by unanimous decision, and fighting out of the red corner, Sarah Jones.
We all had it scored the same way, as it was Jones in that final round getting that triangle locked on to Labai that was able to get the round for her and ultimately the victory. Sarah Jones improves to 3-1 as she beats Charity Labai. All right, next up, we're fighting at 145 as Brian Baumgart comes in fighting out of Highland Fighting System. Baumgart going to the cage with an 0-1 amateur record so far. Wearing the hood, I always think that's kind of ominous when guys are hooded coming to the cage. As Baumgart taking it off right now, going to get checked out. We are also going to check out the Carbon World Health tail of the tape right now as Baumgart Alexander just about set to get going. That was a look at Brian Baumgart. Now, let's take a look at Mr. Rodney Alexander. Well-timed theatrical entrance for Rodney Alexander. The dreadlocks are ready. He looks ready in combat gear. Alexander looking for his second straight victory after starting off his amateur career with a draw in his first fight. In the last fight, he nearly took an arm with him as a trophy. One of my personal favorites, Rodney Alexander right there, looking confident as he goes into his 3rd amateur fight. So we take a look once again at the Carbon World Health tail of the tape. Alexander Baumgart coming up right now as we go to the cage. Rodney Alexander stepping into the cage as we are set for the next fight. Here we go up to
3
Chris.
rounds. Introducing first, this man fighting out of the Coliseum Bar, red corner. He weighed in at 144 pounds. He represents Highland Fight Systems. He hails from Sheboygan, Wisconsin. Please welcome to the cage, Brian Baumgart. His opponent, this man fighting out of the Harley-Davidson of Madison, blue corner. He hails from right here in Madison, Wisconsin, and represents the Chosen Few. His amateur record, 1 victory, 0 defeats, 1 bout ends by way of draw. He weighed in at 145 ready pounds. Please welcome to the cage, Renegade Rodney Alexander.
Alexander and Baumgart ready to go. It is our 4th fight of the evening, and Alexander, one guy who takes his fitness seriously, looks to be in great shape for this one, but I doubt that he's going to need all that fitness as he wants to end this early, as that seems to be the MO for Alexander, as a good exchange here in the center of the cage to get started in this one.
Yeah, good body kick early by Alexander, and then letting the hands go after that seemed to back Baumgartner off a little bit.
And now it's Baumgart who is pushing his weight against Alexander. Alexander quickly reverses it and uses his body to drive Baumgart into the cage.
That's it. Hip out, hip out.
Alexander, a big win in his last fight, ended it early.
Post, separate.
Again, almost took an arm along with him as a trophy in that victory, as he looked a lot better in his second fight than in the first fight when he made his debut. It won the distance, ended up a draw, but Alexander does not want to let it go to the judges anymore.
He was dominant speed and power-wise in his last fight, so it really wasn't much of a test. We didn't get to see a whole lot from him. This looks to be a little bit better as far as us gauging where Rodney Alexander's at, because the one thing that you can definitely tell right up front with Brian Baumgart is that strength-wise, speed-wise, they're fairly close, at least closer than his last opponent, although Rodney is in a good position right now to start laying down some damage.
Yep, good entry there on the takedown for Alexander and getting that nice takedown against the cage and doing what he needs to do right here, posturing up, getting those hips in, landing some strikes. Right now, Baumgartner on the bottom trying to get his head close to Rodney, maybe using that underhook to come up to his feet, but Alexander just punishing him on bottom.
Alexander with some good right hands into the face of Baumgart, who's able to get back up. They go back to the center of the cage, but that exchange definitely won by Rodney Alexander.
Hands up, set it up, Ryan. That's it, hands up, baby, hands up. Jab, jab.
Go back to kind of a feeling out process on the feet. Is a good check from that leg kick by Alexander, and both these guys in opposite stances really need to utilize that back leg for inside leg kicks, body kicks, head kicks. Always easier to land that kick on an opposite stance fighter, and see Alexander here again pinning Baumgart against the cage, looking for that takedown, giving him a little bit of damage, and now content to strike back in the center of the cage.
Baumgart able to block that takedown with his right leg as he worked out of it, as Alexander now back into a striking pose, a southpaw, and he grabs the leg of Baumgart and drives him down towards the side of the cage.
Yeah, and that's an amateur mistake we saw there by Baumgartner, kicking to that front side. You know, again, when you're in an opposite stance like that, you generally don't want to use that lead leg because it's very easy to catch, especially going for that body kick.
Good left and right by Alexander to finish the round. We are through 1 of 3 here. Alexander and Baumgart, round 2 next on 57 Sports. All right, back with Gerald Mearshart here as we are cage side. And Gerald, what did you see from both fighters in that first round?
So far, Baumgart, a game fighter, you know, getting back up from this bad position, but really Alexander having the one really dominant position in the fight and landing the cleaner strikes. I think he did enough to secure round 1.
Alexander looking fresh as we get round number 2 started here. The corners are out, and here we go. Glad you could join us here on 57 Sports, as we've been doing this now for a couple of years. Chosen Few Fighting Championships from Monona Terrace. Always a great time, as we are joined by Chris Garrity, Gerald Mearshart. I'm Rich Reynolds. Second round getting started, and Alexander again quickly on his opponent and taking advantage to close the gap and work inside now on Baumgart. And it looks like Alexander wants to get another takedown.
Yep, doing a good job transferring from the underhook. Had that little headlock there. I might have even stayed on the head and dragged him to the floor, but nonetheless, a good takedown, lifting the leg, getting that takedown, and now here, Alex needs to secure that top position.
Now back to striking again. Both guys have been able to manage, or have managed to land a few times as strikers, but once again, another takedown by Rodney Alexander as he's scored a few of them so far in this fight.
Yeah, now what I'd like to see out of Alexander is not just some punishment from these positions, but it seems that Bumgard does a good job getting back up from the mat. And now when Alexander goes to secure those takedowns, maybe fake a takedown and use that to land a couple more strikes and do a little more damage on the feet.
Alexander trying to get rid of that right arm by Baumgart so he could land some more effective blows. Still landing, though, with that left head to the ear of Baumgart as he pushes him up against the cage.
Yeah, we see Alexander pushing Baumgart against the cage, kind of sticking him there so he can't really get his hips active and move around too much. Here, Baumgart more trying to hold him to protect himself and keep him close with those legs closed in that guard like that, and just kind of holding on, waiting for a break in the action until he can make his move. Bumgard needs to open up a little bit more right now, open his legs up, try to go for some sweeps, some submissions, give a threat off his back so he can either get a submission or get up back to his feet.
One of the things I really like about Rodney here is he's not too worried about that guard being closed. You see a lot of younger fighters, and you hear a lot of corners just always telling fighters, look to move, look to pass, you know, advance your position. But this is kind of old school Tito Ortiz, where he's long enough and he can do enough damage sitting in guard like this. He doesn't care if Baumgart's guard is closed because Baumgart can't really do anything with him right now. So I love these old school type fights here because Rodney is perfectly comfortable sitting here and letting Baumgart close his guard.
Yeah, and he's taking a lot of damage as Baumgart, as Alexander also landing shots to his side, not just his head, but using good body shots right now and scoring a lot of points. Rodney Alexander with a good-looking second round as he was dominant in that one. We'll see if he can put it away in round number 3 here on 57 Sports. Good second round from Rodney Alexander, who has been dominant so far in this fight. He has had control of it. What does he need to do, though, to put Baumgart away in the third round?
Well, in my opinion, keep sticking to those takedowns that he's getting every single time. Just posture up a little bit more and try to look for that one big shot.
We'll see if he can find it here in the third round. Alexander looking to stay undefeated, while Baumgart is looking for his first amateur win. He is 0-1. Rodney 1-0-1 as a flurry there, and it's Alexander getting the better of that exchange once again.
Now we
left
see Alexander
hand from
left
Alexander, yeah.
Yeah, opening up with some straight strikes down the middle. He wasn't doing that too much earlier, and that was a much better look on the feet, and that's going to allow him to not only get an easier takedown, but if he feints a takedown before that, he could possibly rock Baumgart.
You know, we haven't gone there yet, Gerald, but I think we have to mention Alexander's old school Shoney Carter style shorts too.
Yeah, coming in with the American flag. Clearly they're underwear, but you know he's got the Diamond MMA Cup underneath, and it's covering everything it needs to cover. So you know what? I'm all for it.
He's just showing off, man.
Fans
I wish
at home,
I could
if you
look
ever
that
get a
good.
chance, go onto YouTube, look up Mr. International Shoney Carter. Fantastic shorts.
Is that right? Rodney wears them well, as this round, a lot different than our first two. It has been a striking round here. Both guys content to exchange blows. It does seem, though, like Alexander is dishing out more punishment here than is Baumgart.
Yeah, Baumgart so far seems like his best chance is on the feet, even though it's not going too great his way right now. There's always a chance you can get clipped. So when you've been dominated on the ground like that, you might as well stand and let the hands go and see if you can't get something. But again, Alexander testing it out on the feet, landed a little bit, and now he's decided that it's time to take it back down to the mat where he's been so dominant. Baumgart doing all he can to try and circle off the cage and get some separation.
Baumgart trying to block yet another Alexander takedown. Alexander will continue with shots to the right side of Baumgart. Baumgart gets out of it right now as he tries to attack Alexander straight on, but Alexander with a nice counter.
And there we see Alexander ducking in again, looking for that takedown, but now it's Baumgart reversed him, went for a takedown of his own, and kind of leaned in a little bit too much for that overhand right and is giving up a leg, and now Alexander glued to him against the cage, and
Baumgart just had a look on his face that just showed defeat is what it did. He hasn't been able to mount any kind of offense for this entire fight, and you can tell right now that he's realizing the end is near and he's not going to win this fight.
Rodney Alexander with a powerful slam as the final 15 seconds of the fight are ticking off. Baumgartner's going to be happy just for it to be over as Alexander continues to strike at will. Rodney Alexander with an impressive performance. We expect to see him get his hand raised. We will see that coming up right after this. This is Chosen Few Fighting Championships, and this is 57 Sports. Action from the third round, a lot of striking in round number 3, and it seemed like Rodney Alexander, whether they were on the mat or whether they were on their feet, it was Alexander who got the better of it.
Yep, Alexander dominating everywhere. Baumgart doing all he can to try and fight back, but just couldn't get it done
All right,
tonight.
ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of featherweight action, we go to the judges' scorecards for a unanimous decision. All 3 judges have scored this bout the same, 30-27, in favor of your winner, ladies and gentlemen, fighting out of the blue corner, Renegade Rodney Alexander.
Alexander with a well-deserved victory. He won every round. It wasn't even close. A nice dominant appearance by Alexander. Let's hear from the winner now.
Make this happen, and let's get a quick interview here with Rodney. Let's face the camera right over here, bud. So the 3rd time we've seen you in the cage, the 2nd time we've seen you dominant in the cage. You felt pretty comfortable with him. It looks like he, in the beginning, was, strength-wise at least matching you, but eventually when you got on top, you were pretty dominant even from the guard position. So how comfortable did you feel through the whole fight?
I felt lovely through the whole fight. He was strong, but martial arts is not about who's stronger. It's about who can win.
So we didn't get to see him much on the feet. You fought a very intelligent fight, staying on top, whether it was guard, half guard, and you did a lot of damage from there. Did you want it to end up on the ground like that?
I actually had mentioned wanting to be on the feet, but I think instinct takes over. You just take the guy down. You guys seen who was in here with me? Alex Gilpin. When you get beat up by that guy, this is nothing. So this is like a round of sparring for me.
Well, good. Dominant, still undefeated. You just had your 3rd fight in here. We can't wait to see you back again, Rodney. Let's give him one more round of applause. Rodney Alexander.
Always a colorful character, and he wins again. Rodney
All right,
Alexander,
folks, that's 4
victorious.
fights in the
All right, back to action now as Connor Fussner is making his way to the cage. Fussner, early on in his career, is 1-0 in fighting out of Highland Fighting System. We've seen a lot of Highland fighters here so far tonight out of Sheboygan as they have represented themselves not so well, losing on their first 2 fights coming out. Steve Rodriguez going down by unanimous decision, as did Brian Baumgart. We'll see if Connor Fussner can turn that around for Highland Fighting System. All right, there is Fussner. He looks to be in good shape, getting checked out right now by the staff here at the Monona Terrace. All right, Fussner's ready to go. That means we'll take a look at his opponent, Jose de la Barrera. Well, Connor Fussner somersaulted his way into the cage. We'll see what tricks that Jose De La Barrera has as he makes his way towards the cage right now. De La Barrera fighting out of Fearless MMA out of Janesville. He is going to enter the cage tonight with a 1-1 record so far on the amateur career. As you take a look at the Carbon World Health tail of the tape, De La Barrera with a slight height advantage. Otherwise, two evenly proportioned fighters heading into the cage tonight. Although Fussner seems to be the one who's a little bit more cut than De La Barrera. That doesn't always work into a fighter's favor. We'll see what happens in this one as we head up to the cage. And once again, Chris Garrity.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, our fifth bout of the evening is a 160-pound affair scheduled for 3 rounds. Introducing first, the man fighting out of the Coliseum Bar, red corner. He weighed in at 157 ready pounds, and he represents Highland Fight Systems. He hails from Sheboygan, Wisconsin, and is undefeated in his short career. 1 bout, 1 victory. Please welcome Connor Fussner. His opponent, this man, fighting out of the Harley-Davidson of Madison, blue corner. He represents Fearless Mixed Martial Arts and hails from Beloit, Wisconsin. His amateur record, 1 victory, 1 defeat. He weighed in at 159 pounds, Jose De La Barrera.
One of the advantages of having 2 giant screens here at the Monona Terrace is that if you're Jose De La Barrera, you get to check your hair out before the fight started. That's what he did. Took a look at the screen, fixed his hair, what he has of it, and now he is ready to go. De La Barrera and Fussner. Fussner seems to be pretty spry. He was showing off some of his athleticism before the fight. Got a good vertical, it looked like, and was also pretty athletic with the somersault into the cage as well. We'll see what these fighters try to do early on here in the feeling out process in round number 1.
Yeah, Fussner moving around, a lot of small movements. Like to see him tuck his chin a little bit, but De La Cruz really coming in, kind of cornering him against that cage wall there, trying to get in range for some strikes and letting the high kick go just a bit short, but so far De La Cruz backing Fussner into a corner.
Fussner trying a combination right there in a front kick, easily blocked by De La Barrera. De La Barrera with 1 win, 1 loss. Fussner a perfect 1-0 to start his amateur career. Fussner tries to lead with a right hand. Both guys here kind of happy to keep their distance right now. We haven't seen too many exchanges so far. Now it is Fussner who takes advantage of De La Barrera. Thought we did on a takedown instead. It is reverse, and it's De La Barrera who has the dominant position.
Absolutely beautiful toss, Gerald.
Really good. Good situational awareness. Fussner got in on the legs. De La Barrera, who I mistakenly called De La Cruz before, my apologies, did a real good job using that momentum to roll him through and get that mount position. And now what he's got to do is what he's doing right now, try to get that head pinned to the mat and land some strikes and really dominate in that position. Now we see him giving up the back. That's a tight rear naked choke.
Big mistake there by Fussner as he left himself vulnerable. He taps out, and De La Barrera gets the rear naked chokehold in and pulls off the stunning first round victory. Nice job by De La Barrera. It only takes a second and 1 little mistake like that from Fussner, and it's over that quickly. De La Barrera with the victory. Will get the word from Chris Garrity right after this on 57 Sports. All right, here we go to get the official word from Chris Garrity.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the end of this bout comes in
after
1
the
minute,
De La
46
Barrera
seconds
victory.
of round number 1 for your winner by rear naked choke, Jose De La Barrera.
One thing we know about
Yeah.
fearless MMA fighters, they know jiu-jitsu, and it works to the advantage of Jose De La Barrera, a winner by rear naked choke. We'll be back with more from the Monona Terrace right here on 57 Sports. All right, we are seeing our fourth Highland Fighting System fighter tonight in Rene Mora Jr. as he is heading up to the cage. So far, not a good night for Highland. They are 0-4 the night. Yeah, 0-3. This is their fourth attempt at it and the last chance for them to pull down a victory in Chosen Few Fighting Championships number 14. And it's going to rest on the shoulders of Rene Mora Jr. Entering the cage tonight with a 2-1 record. And he's going up against one of Chris and mine's favorite fighters, Gary Kunkel, who has been a joy to watch over the last few Chosen Few Fighting Championships. We're looking at Mora. Now we'll take a look at Gary Kunkel. Taking a look at the Carbon World Health tail of the tape between Kunkel and Mora. Kunkel with a slight height advantage, draped in the American flag. Here he comes. And it's kind of funny, I was looking up to Chris in the cage. He gave me kind of a smile and a wink because we like watching this guy fight. He has been exciting. When we saw him a few events ago, he was an independent, now is hooked up with Wisconsin Budokai Karate and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And Gary Kunkel has been fun to watch, fought in one of the better fights that we ever saw a few events ago, where it looked like he was going to lose and won the fight in the last 10 seconds of a 3-rounder. And Gary Kunkel making his way to the cage. I am sure he will get a good ovation because he has earned it here at the Monona Terrace, as he has been one exciting fighter to watch. One final look at the Carbon World Health tail of the tape, and now we go up to Chris for the introduction.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this next bout features 3 rounds in our 145-pound featherweight division. Introducing first this man, fighting out of the Coliseum Bar, red corner. He weighed in at 144 pounds. He hails from Sheboygan, Wisconsin. In 3 amateur bouts, he has 2 victories representing Highland Fight Systems, Rene Mora Jr. His opponent, this man, fighting out of the Harley-Davidson of Madison blue corner. He represents Wisconsin Budokai Karate and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He hails from Stevens Point, Wisconsin. In 15 bouts, he has 6 victories, weighing in at 144 ready pounds. Ladies and gentlemen, the artist, Gary Kunkel.
And Kunkel indeed does get a nice round of applause for his introduction as he gets set to square off against Rene Mora Jr. And Kunkel, always fun to watch here in the cage tonight. We'll see what he has in store for Mora and what Mora can do for him, as both fighters coming out aggressively in the center of the cage. Mora looking to strike with kicks. Kunkel looking to throw those hands a little bit and counter these kicks of Mora. Good exchange there and a good flurry, and the crowd will like that.
Yeah, right now, they're both kind of landing a little bit here and there. Kunkel's getting his head off center when he throws a little bit better than Mora, and I think that's going to help him out as this fight keeps going on. Mora kind of falling in with his strikes, but not too much head movement out of him.
Kunkel snuck a good uppercut into the chin of Mora as well. There, both fighters landing, and that drove Kunkel back a little bit as Mora with that overhand right scored a couple of times there, and now follows that up with a good kick to the leg of Kunkel.
Yep, now Mora looping that punch. When he throws that looping right hand, he does a lot better job getting his head off that center line, and that helps you not get hit as you're striking. Now Mora in on that leg, trying to drive him to the cage. And Conkle doing a good job getting that wrist control, circling off and landing some strikes of his own.
Wow, Conkle with a flurry of punches right there. Lands a good straight left to Moore as well. It backs him up. Follows it up with a kick. Gary Conkle doing well as a striker here in round number 1.
In the pocket, Conkle is extremely dangerous. He doesn't have fantastic head movement, but what he does have is crisp strikes that come from the shoulder. He looks really good throwing here.
Oh, here
Mora's in trouble. He has hurt him, but then Mora follows up with the right hand that knocks Conkle down. Great action here in round number 1 in one of the more action-filled fights we have seen so far here tonight.
Rich, the fight's already over. Conkle's been knocked down. That means he's going to win.
That's right. We love Gary Conkle, and I love that you actually gave me a smile and a wink before the fight here tonight because we like watching this kid fight. It seems like whenever he's in trouble, that's when he does his best work. As a stoppage here, as you see, the right eye right now of Rene Mora has been split open. That cut looks pretty bad. It looks like it's right above his eye.
It's not looking good, Rich. I'm going to try and listen to what the doc says here.
Dr. Nestor Rodriguez taking a look at it right in front of us here, but it's a cut directly above the right eye of Rene Mora Jr., and that could be a stoppage right there, as he will not be able to see out of that eye if they can't close that cut.
Here's a question, though, Rich. Did it happen because of a poke or because of a punch? If it's a poke, that's going to be a no contest. If it's a punch, it's a TKO. So it'll be interesting to see what Tom DeVellis, our referee, has to say about it.
Yeah, I didn't see it. Sometimes it happens so quickly, it's hard to see. It would be up to the ref to be able to see that. And maybe we got it on a replay, but I did not see a poke.
Right, there was a warning, so it leads me to believe it was some sort of, it was a knee to the head. That's illegal for amateurs in Wisconsin MMA, so that could be a call against him and a possible disqualification.
Now, again, this is a referee's discretion. If he thought the knee was intentionally thrown, he's definitely going to give him a disqualification.
Well, we are taking a look at it right now, and it looks like the referee is waving this fight off. As we take a look at the replay, you see the flurry by Conkle there that drove Mora back. I didn't see a knee in that exchange right there, so I'm not sure where the knee caught him, but it could have been when Mora dipped his head. So here we go. We're taking a look again, and maybe that was the one.
Yep, there was a knee off that takedown attempt from Mora. Conkle circled off the cage, had that wrist control, and poked that knee up the middle, and that must have been what did it, and that would have been why the referee had stopped the fight originally right there to call that foul. Again, knees to the head are illegal in amateur MMA in Wisconsin.
So, yeah, it looks like we're going to get a disqualification call right here. Mora unable to continue because of the knee to the head as he is being walked out of the ring right now. And Nestor Rodriguez right by his side. Chris Garrity is going to give us the official word.
Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, due to the injury, Rene Mora Jr. was forced to leave the cage. We had to take care of his eye. It is significantly damaged. And due to that accidental illegal strike, Gary Conkle has been disqualified. In amateur mixed martial arts, you cannot throw knees to the head. It's a blatant illegal technique, so this isn't even something in question. We love Gary Conkle. It's unfortunate it happened, but the winner today by disqualification is Rene Mora Jr.
Well, the crowd doesn't like it. Conkle doesn't like it. Nobody likes it, but it is a DQ, an illegal knee to the head. Gary Conkle is disqualified. Rene Mora Jr. will improve to 3-1 with the victory because of the DQ. All right, that wasn't satisfying. Maybe our next one will be. Lucas Nelson, Dave Vang are next on 57 Sports. Tell you what, it is a picture postcard perfect evening from the Monona Terrace on the shores of Lake Monona, along with Chris Garrity and the Machine, Gerald Mearshart. I am Rich Reynolds, and we continue on with the action here in Chosen Few Fighting Championships. Number 14 is Dave Vang makes his way to the cage on this extensive amateur card here tonight. Dave Vang fighting out of Wisconsin, Budokai Karate, entering the cage with a record of 2 up and 2 down as you check out the Carbon World Health Tale of the Tape. That's Dave Vang. Now let's look at his opponent, Lucas Nelson. Lucas Nelson has brought some fans with him here tonight as he's not even wasting any time. He quickly comes out of the dressing room and is ready to go. Nelson fighting out of Next Level MMA with a record of 3 up and 2 down, and ready to go here tonight against Dave Vang at 145 pounds. Taking a look at the Carbon World Health Tale of the Tape, two very evenly matched fighters. We'll see how it goes up in the cage as we head up to Chris Garrity and our introduction.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, our next bout is brought to you by the Tint Factory and scheduled for 3 rounds in our 145-pound amateur featherweight division. Introducing first, this man fighting out of the Coliseum Bar red corner. He weighed in at 145 pounds even and hails from Stevens Point, Wisconsin. In 4 amateur bouts, he has 2 victories. Representing Wisconsin Budokai Karate and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, welcome to the cage, Dave Vang. His opponent, this man, standing across the cage and fighting out of the Harley-Davidson of Madison blue corner. He represents Next Level Mixed Martial Arts and hails from Westfield, Wisconsin. His record, 3 victories, 2 defeats. Ladies and gentlemen, the electric one, Lucas Nelson.
I like the nickname, the electric one. He came out with a lot of firepower out of the dressing room. Looks serious, has a lot of energy. It might fit Lucas Nelson's style. Let's see as he squares off against Dave Vang at 145 pounds. At the center of the cage, both are ready to go and both looking to open up with some kicks.
Yeah, nice long little side teep there. And then Vang answering right back. Good little overhand right here. Again, we got a southpaw versus an orthodox fighter. Look for them to use that power side to hit that open backside of the opponent right there. Goes to that left or the right body kick by Vang. Nice overhand right, and they're just kind of feeling each other out, throwing out big long strikes to see where their range is.
So far, that right seems to be a real good counter for Vang from the southpaw kicking out of Nelson. There it is again as Nelson shakes it off, said you didn't catch me that time. But I tell you what, Vang has been landing with that right.
Right, Nelson keeps coming in with those long kicks, but then he kind of rushes himself and crowds himself. Doesn't seem to be too comfortable throwing his hands, whereas Vang is taking those kicks, brushing them off and throwing back some big hands. And now we see a takedown by Lucas. And Vang got a good hold on the neck right there. Not sure if it's in danger of finishing, but he's getting a good squeeze on it. Looks like Lucas is uncomfortable.
Yeah, Nelson is not happy at all right now, the position that he is in. Vang stretching him out, and Nelson is in trouble here early on in the first round.
And off come the shorts. That is a good squeeze by Vang. Lucas doing everything he can, including taking his pants off to stay out of that submission.
It's a good thing that didn't happen in the Rodney Alexander fight. People would have got a different kind of show.
How about that for top control? Leans back, pulls up his shorts, stays in the mount position.
True cage awareness. Now up and mount. Vang trying to buck him off. Lucas doing a good job keeping his weight down. Landed a couple strikes. Now looking for that head-arm triangle. Dropping his weight down. Looks like he might be a little high. Shoulder is not on the throat. Doesn't look like it's going to be much more than a neck crank right there. As long as Vang is tough, he's fine in this position.
And Gerald, for the fans at home, something you're going to hear coming from corners in a position like that is answer the phone. It's one of the chief defenses for the arm triangle technique. Can you explain what that means for the folks at home?
Right, so in that position, answer the phone would mean taking your hand, putting it to your ear as if you're answering the phone to make a little space. Not the best defense for that choke, but it gives you an opportunity. But now we see Lucas here getting the back, getting his hooks in. He should look to land these strikes, but more importantly, reach underneath the elbows, stretch Vang out, get him flat on his stomach.
He landed 2 shots to the back of the head, so
Yes,
I'm wondering
he
if
did.
Tom saw that.
Yeah, and I tell you what, he also hit him in the ears, so he might not be answering the phone, but he could definitely hear ringing right now as Vang now being stretched out on top as Nelson got some good shots in on Vang in that exchange. Good first round, lots of action, both fighters scoring as we will head to the second round, see if they can keep this pace up here on 57 Sports. Lot of quick action here in the first round. Both guys scoring. Nelson with some kicks, Vangs with some right hands, and then even when they went down to the mat, it seems both guys were able to get leverage and score here in the first round.
Yeah, Vang had a good little choke attempt there at first, but when Nelson got on top, one thing I saw at the very end of the round, Lucas actually was under Vang's chin with that rear naked choke. If he had about 30 more seconds, he could have been the fight right there.
In a pro round, he would have had the time. Amateur rounds only 3 minutes long. Both guys expending a lot of energy in round number 1, coming out breathing a little hard here in the second round as they're back up on their feet and looking to exchange those kicks again.
To my eyes, Vang looks to be a little bit more tired than Lucas, a little more labored breathing, slower movements, and we still see Lucas bouncing around, landing the quick 1-2 and getting out of dodge.
Yeah, we're seeing more of that mouth guard there from Lucas Vang showing as Nelson looking for a takedown, driving Vang now into the cage and trying to go to work here as Vang trying to get a good defensive position.
And one of the things that happened to Vang was the amount of energy he expended trying to set in that guillotine choke. And as hard as Nelson fought off the choke, you just saw the squeeze Vang was trying to put on. That's going to wear you out real quick. Builds up the lactic acid in those muscles, and you can come out showing your mouthpiece for the rest of the fight.
So how does Vang now bide his time in this position trying to get some of that energy back, Chris?
So energy-wise, getting it back is one of the most difficult things in the world to do. He's actually not in a whole lot of trouble here because I don't see Nelson raining down a ton of damage at this point, but he's also not being super active, really looking to do anything to Nelson either. So this right here might be his own recovery time. Although he moved his hips there, looking to do something. He needs to watch the up kicks there. But I don't know, Gerald, in a situation like that where you've spent everything in the first round on a submission, is it okay, in at least your mind and the training you've had, to spend the first part of the next round trying to recover, or is that really a dangerous thing to do?
That's a dangerous thing to do, and really what that comes down to is your technique and your conditioning. Obviously, you want to have conditioning to go 100% the whole 3 rounds. Not necessarily a realistic thing all the time, but that's where the technique comes in. You got to have the technique to be able to scramble in those positions with the most efficiency in order to save that energy when you need it later in the fight.
Good work coming out of here by Lucas Nelson in the second round. He has been in the dominant position for most of round number 2 as we're in the final minute of this second round. And what has been a long amateur card as we're heading to the top of the amateur card and seeing Dante Sciro getting ready to defend his title at 170 pounds against Alex Bowers.
And here we see Lucas just staying on top, being content to basically ride Vang out, land some little shots here and there, slowly advancing, looking for that mount or side control position, and Vang doing what he can to try to re-guard, but ultimately looking too tired or unwilling to expose himself and open up to get the stand up.
Yeah, I think fatigue is the big factor right here. He's, at least in my mind, hanging on for dear life at this point. Although I would expect Nelson to do a little bit more damage when you've got a fighter that winded, but it looks like they're both in a little bit of trouble getting up there.
Absolutely. After an energetic first round, a more passively energetic second round between Nelson and Vang. Final round coming up from the Monona Terrace on 57 Sports. All right, here we go. Final round, 3 of 3, Nelson and Vang. As both guys seem pretty winded, we'll see what they got left for this third and final round, as we've only seen a couple stoppages here so far tonight. A lot of decisions. so far this evening, and this one seems almost destined to be another one.
Very strange fighter Lucas Nelson is. Comes in, throws a spinning back kick, then shoots for a takedown.
Yeah, definitely an unorthodox setup. There we saw Vang come out throwing some leather right away. Not the worst advice in the world from his corner. You know, he looks to be down two, is a little bit winded. You got to go for broke sometimes. Would have been nice to see him defend that takedown, try to stay on top, get back to his feet, but Lucas just doing a good job finishing that takedown and securing top position.
Yeah, and I'm surprised Vang even has that mouthpiece still in it.
Yeah, it's halfway out as now Nelson
breathing.
mounting and trying to do some ground and pound. Vang holding on in desperation, trying to block this finishing attempt here by Nelson.
We saw this at the end of the first round. Vang here kept trying to buck and move, ended up ultimately giving up his back and giving up that rear naked choke. We'll see if he's content to stay here and try to trap those arms, or if he gets that reversal or rolls over and gives up his back.
Kind of blocking the right arm, but Nelson able to free it now and hit Vang in the face. The action happening right near us here is now Nelson with a couple of strikes, and now looks like he's got that rear naked choke in as Vang rolled over, and that was a bad move right there, as Nelson seems to have it locked in pretty good.
Doing a good job. Vang turned into him, got his back to the mat, was able to get his chin out of there and allowed him to escape that position. It was a tight choke. Good defense by Vang.
Using the cage as well and his feet to get out of that, as now it is Nelson looking to score with the left hand. There's a right now. Vang still in trouble on his backside here as Nelson lands a couple of good shots.
And Nelson just dominant on top and mount so far. And so far the best part of this round for Vang was getting out of that rear naked choke, and it's not a good spot to be in when the highlight is escaping a submission. He's really got to work to stand back up or try and maybe even get a reversal. It was a good attempt there getting those hips up, but ultimately Lucas staying on top and raining down punches.
It would be quite a turnaround now for Vang if he can get a submission here, but Nelson making a mistake, and Vang now is holding on to Nelson trying to finish him off.
Yeah, we saw Nelson there get up to the back, kind of go for that armbar, give up top position. Vang got a hold of that neck, and now he's back down.
Nelson able to work out of it, gets the reversal, and is on top of Vang here, and both guys seem content to end this one as the final 10 seconds tick off the clock of round number 3. That means once again tonight we go to the scorecards. The crowd liked this one, though. Good action early on, and Dave Vang holds on to get to a decision and go the distance against Nelson. All right, we'll get the official word next from Chris Garrity on 57 Sports. All right, action here between Vang and Nelson in round number 3. Another round that seemed to be dominated by Lucas Nelson, as he was in control of most of this fight, Gerald.
Yep, all 3 rounds we saw Lucas Nelson on top, getting that mountain back position and just raining down strikes, attempting that choke when he could. Vang doing everything he could to stay alive, but ultimately Nelson on top, dominant, should be a 30-27 decision in his favor.
Absolutely. That's where you give Vang some credit by just being able to hold on against Lucas Nelson in what was a pretty one-sided fight. Both guys, though, pretty well-winded after this one. We'll see how the judges scored it as Chris Garrity has the mic and is in the cage for the decision.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of featherweight action, we go to the judges' scorecards. All 3 judges have scored this bout the same, 30-27, in favor of your winner by unanimous decision, and fighting out of the blue corner, Lucas Nelson.
Lucas Nelson the winner, an easy one for everyone to score here as Nelson improves to 4-2. All right, we're back with Chosen Few Fighting Championships number 14 right after this on 57 Sports. First time tonight we're seeing a Rufus Sport fighter make his way to the cage. Jacob Jossert is on his way as someone, well, actually, Jossert with a record of 2-1 is going to be fighting against JT Schulte at 1-0, but someone's going to be able to improve their mark here and get to that magical 5-win mark that you need to go from amateur to pro. Jossert, again, with a record of 2-1, getting checked out right now. As we took a look at him, we take a look at the Carbon World Health tail of the tape. And then we will check out the aforementioned JT Schulte. I haven't seen JT Schulte's girlfriend Abby around here yet tonight. I am sure that she is somewhere to be found in this large crowd as she will be cheering on JT tonight. Actually had the opportunity to work with Abby with the Madison Capitals a couple of seasons ago, but hey, that's all personal stuff. Let's get back to the action and taking a look at JT Schulte entering the cage with a record of 1-0. He is part of the chosen few, and I am sure he will get a nice round of applause as he represents here tonight. All right, JT Schulte ready to square off against Jacob Jossert, and we are ready to go to the cage and Chris Garrity.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this next bout is brought to you by Vortex Optics and is scheduled for 3 rounds in our amateur welterweight division. Introducing first this man, fighting out of the Coliseum Bar, red corner. He represents Titletown Mixed Martial Arts and Rufus Sport. He hails from Green Bay, Wisconsin. In 3 amateur bouts, he has 2 victories. He weighed in at 169 pounds. Please welcome Jacob Juggernaut Jossert. His opponent, this man, fighting out of the Harley-Davidson of Madison, blue corner. He hails from right here in Madison, Wisconsin, and represents the chosen few. Undefeated in his short career, 1 bout, 1 victory. He weighed in at 169 ready pounds. JT Schulte.
The crowd giving it up for hometown hero JT Schulte, and I'm actually really surprised taking a look at Schulte and at Jossert that they weighed the same coming into this fight. It just appears to me, just by its size, that Schulte looks like the bigger fighter.
Yeah, Schulte a little bit shorter, a little bit thicker. Jossert, you know, got some muscle on him too, just a little bit taller and lankier.
Wow,
Schulte
Schulte coming in
hammers.
with strong punches as that backs up Jossert, and why not? Those are some powerful blows from JT Schulte.
Yeah, Schulte got it started early, throwing some bombs there. Jossert showing he's in this to win this. I mean, he didn't back down and hung in there after some bombs, and now he's looking to establish some range, and Schulte right back in there throwing.
Wow, good left by Schulte, then a right to the side of Jossert's head. Jossert, though, able to fight out of it. Now Schulte with a front kick, then it's swatted away by Jossert, but Schulte looking strong here in the first round.
Yeah, every time he closes that distance, he's letting those hands go. If I'm in Jossert's corner, I'm telling him to use that reach, use that length, stick him with some on the outside, move and get those angles.
Jossert landing a left of his own. Good left from Jossert.
Good lateral movement out of Jossert in his corner. No stranger to MMA is Alex Brockway fighter. Also, Eastern Wisconsin's most eligible bachelor, Eric Mandingo Chang. Nice right there by Schulte.
Good name dropping there by Gerald. I like that.
Pretty good fight so far, Schulte. Every time he comes in, he's throwing heat, and Jossert doing really good now. Oh,
and a
real
good left,
nice
and
jab.
Schulte is out. That is it. Jossert caught Schulte with a left, it appeared, and it looked like the lights went out temporarily on JT Schulte, and what a display of a power shot by Jacob Jossert, and just like that, it is over. Taking a look at the quick replay, it was a left
Just
right to the chin of
beautiful
Schulte.
timing.
He gets dropped, and Jossert puts a blemish on Schulte's record.
Beautiful timing and technique on that left hand. Just got right in there, hit that angle for that movement. When Schulte came in real strong, dropped his weight. Jossert seeing that angle, taking it and letting him fall right onto that jab.
Yeah, as you took a look at the early action, it looked like, you know, going to the hands was going to work to the advantage of Schulte, but boy, a straight left right to the chin, and that was it. Our referee jumped in right away in a good stoppage because it appeared that Schulte did not have his senses about him. It is Jossert who gets the victory on that first round knockout, and we will get the official word right now from Chris Garrity.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the end of this bout comes in 1 minute, 32 seconds of round number 1 for your winner by knockout, Jacob Juggernaut Jossert.
Impressive left hand by Jossert. He improves to 3-1, knocking out JT Schulte in the first round. All right, our card will continue from the Monona Terrace next. Here comes Christy Gar, and she's got one of those names that as a public address announcer, I just love. I love when they end on an R, so you can do Gar and just kind of pirate your way out of it. That's some good stuff there. Christy Gar, 2-0, fighting out of Scorpion Fighting System in Michigan. And actually, you know, as a fighter, I normally see like that fight face they put on, that tough kind of look. She comes out all smiles here tonight. That's kind of odd for a fighter, but she seems to be in a smiling kind of mood.
Yeah, every fighter's got their own unique perspective on fighting. You know, me personally, I'm not the meanest guy, but I just love to fight, and it looks like she's similar in that fashion. Walked out to Can't Touch This and had a shirt that said filthy on it. I'm loving it.
Absolutely. Christy Gar getting checked out right now. We've checked her out. Now let's check out her opponent, our second Labai of the night, Courtney Labai, coming to the cage right now.
Next up, welcome her opponent, Courtney Labai.
Courtney Labai is 3-0. A little bit earlier on in the night, her sister fell in a unanimous decision in a very tough fight against Sarah Jones. We'll see if Courtney now can represent the Labai name well this evening. Again, she's 3-0. Gar 2-0, a couple of undefeated amateurs going as we get nearer and nearer to our main event of the evening, and we're starting to get into some pretty tough competitors right now. Labai is ready to go, and we are ready for this one. Labai and Gar right here, right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, this next bout is brought to you by Miller Lite and scheduled for 3 rounds at 110 pounds in our women's division. Introducing first and fighting out of the Coliseum Bar red corner. She weighed in at 110 ready pounds. She hails from Goodrich, Michigan. Undefeated. 2 bouts, 2 victories. She represents Scorpion Fighting Systems, Christy Gar. Her opponent fighting out of the Harley-Davidson of Madison blue corner. She hails from Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and also is undefeated. 3 victories, 0 defeats. She represents Unified Martial Arts, weighing in at 110 pounds, Courtney Labai.
Labai and Gar ready to square off as all of a sudden the smile is off the face of one Christy Gar, and she is all business right now as here we go. in a battle of undefeateds, and Gar comes out quickly and right away is looking for a takedown and gets it as she drives Labai down to the mat.
Yeah, Gar in on that takedown quick, kind of let a right hand go and just letting the hands go from top position.
Boy, Christy Gar, who came out all smiles, is all business right now, trying to attack Labai as she's getting caught by the legs of Labai, but she's quickly out of it, and again trying to get into a better posture where she can ground and pound, but Labai using her legs to her advantage to defend. Now she gets slammed down by the powerful Gar.
Yeah, Labai did a really good job getting that triangle set up twice, but just couldn't quite finish it. Needed to get Gar's head, pulled it down to break her posture, but Gar just out-toughing her right now, throwing those legs by, slamming her, now getting that side control. Looks like she's working to try to get Mount so she can posture up and do a little more damage. So far, it's all Gar.
Gar on top early in this one as Labai trying to break free, trying to kick out, using whatever she can to break free from this mount of Gar's. Gar now with control, trying to get over to that mounted position like you said, but good job. Labai's keeping her at bay right now.
Right, and in this specific position, we see Gar, for a brief second, she tried to set up that key lock, pin that wrist down, was looking for Mount, but Labai doing a good job being active with her hips. And really, if Gar tries to posture up and punch too early in this situation, she's going to give up position, and Labai's going to get back to guard as she's trying to do right now. But now from half guard, it's almost a better position to strike from. You got control of the leg, control of the hips, a little more room to posture up and rain down some punches. And Labai right here really needs to work to either sweep or get back to guard.
Gar using that control to her advantage, using that right hand to drive into the side of the face of Labai as she continues to stay on top of Courtney Labai. Final minute of the first round. It has been all Christy Gar so far in this one, now with an elbow on the face of Labai. Can't use it to strike at the amateur level, but you can use it to control, and she's been doing a good job of that here in the first round.
Right, you'll see Gar in between those punches. She's pinning that wrist down, looking for that key lock, trying to suck that elbow into the hip pocket and then rotate that elbow closer to the head to get the submission, and that attacks the shoulder joint. Labai being really good about trying to get her hips back in, get that arm loose. But Gar just on top, controlling. Hard to finish that from half guard, especially on someone who's as flexible as Labai.
Gar focusing on that wrist, really driving it into the mat as Labai has been dominated here in round number one. Christy Gar takes the first round, and we will see if that dominance continues in round number two here on 57 Sports. We check out some of the replays and the action from round number one as Christy Gar got a very early takedown of Courtney Labai, and she stayed on top of her throughout the first round.
Yep, really all Christy Gar that first round. As we saw, that was the one takedown in the round, and then it was Gar the rest of the round trying to keep that top position, threatening submissions and landing some strikes.
So round number two now, we'll see if Gar can maintain that dominance of Labai. And so if you are Labai right now, would you like to strike a little bit more? Would you like to stay on your feet here? Because it seemed like Gar got the better of her once they hit the mat.
Yeah, and Labai's even a little bit longer, and we see now she's trying to keep her distance a little bit. It's very clear that Gar is the more dominant grappler on the mat. And now if it does go back to the ground, Labai's got to do her best to try and keep her full guard and try to threaten some submissions. But here we see Gar right away with that takedown in half guard. Labai is against the cage, and now it looks like she's going to be stuck here for a good amount of time as Gar using really good pressure and control to establish that control on top before she starts to move to pass or threaten with anything.
Gar shot the leg once again as the action taking place right in front of us here in the cage, but almost an exact replay of the first round as Gar with the early takedown and now on top, landing blows to the head of Courtney Labai.
And Labai using her feet to try to walk off that cage, but Gar doing a good job turning her back towards the center. Labai's got a hold of Gar's right arm, got that overhook going, but Gar content to pressure in there, keep working for that side control and land some strikes, albeit smaller strikes to the side of the head to open up that position. And now we see her inside. Side control here, trying to raid down on Labai, doing everything she can, throwing the legs up, moving the hips to try and get back to guard or possibly get to her feet.
Labai trying to defend with those legs. She's done a good job of it so far in this round, but now it is side control for Gar, and Gar is looking to rain more blows down on Courtney Labai. Labai trying to push her head away with that left elbow and maybe try to get an armbar here, but Gar will have none of it as she lands a right to the side of the head of Courtney Labai.
Right, in that position, Labai really good coming back to her feet, landing some good strikes, good punches to the head and a body kick. Gar getting that takedown right away, getting it back to where she's been dominant. Very smart move. And if I'm in Gar's corner, I'd almost recommend staying in half guard or possibly standing over Labai and landing some strikes from the feet, just controlling those ankles. But here, doing a good job from half guard, as Labai is very squirrely, very tricky getting those legs up from side control.
Yeah, it seems like Labai has only been able to land shots when she has been in the striking position. Once they hit the mat, it has been all Gar, and Gar continues to use that right hand when she gets it free to hit Labai with, and now she's trying to get that armbar.
Good step over for that armbar attempt. Gar needs to get her legs straight a little bit tighter right now. We see her lacing through there. Got the arm broke. Don't think there's enough time to finish it though.
10 seconds left in the round. The ref looking to see if Gar can lock that in. She runs out of time as she nearly got the submission by an armbar on Courtney Labai. Well, Christy Gar's going to have to go at least one more round here, try to finish off Labai. We'll see if she can do it in round number 3 on 57 Sports. Courtney Labai has had trouble fighting off the persistent attacks of one Christy Gar, and Gar has dominated almost completely, especially once they hit the ground.
Yeah, all the fight. Gar's been getting those takedowns when she needs them, and then as soon as she gets on top, she's being mean. She's grinding her forearm into her face, landing little strikes, making Labai pay for every mistake.
So third round now as Christy Gar, again, she can't wait for this round to start. She's raring to go here in the third and final round. So her conditioning is good. Labai looking to strike. That seems to be the only place that she could do damage to Gar, as Gar, I'm sure, will be looking to shoot that leg and get another takedown here in the third round.
Right, that should be story of the fight right here. Is we all know what Gar's game plan is. She doesn't look too comfortable on the feet. You know, at this point, I'd say whip a big overhand right and just go for that takedown. And off the kick, there it is on cue.
Yep.
Gar looking to finish. Labai doing a good job right now, locking up, trying to stay on top. And that time she avoided getting taken down back to her feet. Still down 2 rounds. In my opinion, is going to need a finish to get a victory here tonight.
That was the best job she's done all fight of defending a takedown. Now lands a kick, kind of glanced off the head of Gar, didn't connect flush. Otherwise, that could have done damage. That one did. That one connected flush, and I think Gar is hurt.
Yeah, Gar's a little rocked right now. Luckily, Labai made, a mistake you make as an amateur, rushed in a little bit too quick. Let Gar get in on that leg. Now Gar taking some little strikes, but ultimately is going to have time to recover here. She's got Labai against the cage, looking to push, and now she's controlling that half guard position again against the fence. And as long as she can maintain this, at the very least, she'll ride this out to a decision victory.
Yeah, it seemed like Labai would have been better served just to stay at distance, continue with those kicks. 2 of them landed, 1 of them landed flush. Gar appeared to be hurt for a moment, but caught Labai and once again brought her down to the mat where she's more comfortable.
Yep, now we see Labai in full guard. Got a little more of a chance here, just landing little strikes. And this is one of the biggest things in amateurs, even from top and side control, and now here from bottom and guard, there's no elbows, so it's harder to get openings and land really devastating strikes as an amateur. But Labai doing a good job, using her feet, being active, threatening some submissions, and that ultimately makes Gar back off. But now we see her back in on that crackdown, trying to get that top position. Only a minute left, and it looks like if it keeps going this way, she'll be able to get that victory. But Labai definitely making an effort here to try and turn things around.
Yeah, as soon as Labai got to her feet, it was Gar who was right back in on her almost instantly and continues to put the pressure on Labai.
And now it looks like Labai here is trying to pry that arm out. You know, she's got her other arm triangle. At this point, I ditched that arm. Now she seems to be going for an arm bar. I'd look to get on top right now before I go for some submissions, but looking to get that arm bar from
she needs it. Yeah, she's only got 10 seconds to lock it down. You said she needed a finish. I think you are right. Gar's going to ride this one out and might win this one 2-1. So best round of the fight for Courtney Labai, but is it enough to gain a decision over Christy Gar? We will find out when we return to the Monona Terrace. This is Chosen Few Fighting Championships number 14, and this is 57 Sports. Action from round number 3 as the best round of the fight for Courtney Labai, as she was able to do some stuff striking, landed a couple of big kicks. There was a glancing blow, and here's the good one.
Yeah, really good head kick there by Labai. Just couldn't stay away to capitalize on it, and then Gar really smart, right back in on that leg, getting that takedown, and ultimately staying on top to what should be a decision victory, in my opinion.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we get to an official decision, one more round of applause for a great fight. After 3 rounds of 110-pound women's action, we go to the judges' scorecards. Both Judge Wickers and Zamatalo score the bout 29-28, while Judge Sabatas has it 30-27, all in favor of your winner by unanimous decision. And fighting out of the red corner, Christy Gar.
2 judges had it 2-1. That's how we had it. 1 judge had a perfect shutout for Christy Gar, who improves to 3-0. Courtney Labai falls to 3-1 with that unanimous decision. All right, we got more coming up from the Monona Terrace on 57 Sports. Alex Bowers only has 2 amateur fights to his credit. For him, though, they were both victories, so that's a good start. He won by a second-round TKO in his last fight. In his first, it was a rear naked choke that got him the decision, so he's 2-0. Bowers ranked number 123 in the Midwest by Tapology, number 9 in the state of Wisconsin at 170 pounds, fighting out of Rufus Sport. Alex Bowers on the tail of the tape. You check him out here from Carbon World Health, as Bowers, an inch is what he is surrendering to Dante Skiro. We'll see if he surrenders anything else in this fight tonight. Bowers the challenger, Skiro the champ. Let's take a look at Dante entering the cage right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, his opponent, Dante Skiro.
One of my favorite paisans, man. Dante Skiro heading to the cage right now. He has won 5 straight and is the title holder in the amateur division at 170 pounds for Chosen Few. Want to talk about rankings. He's ranked number 12 in the Midwest, number 1 in the state of Wisconsin, and he has been on some kind of roll, having won his 5 in a row. There's the tail of the tape once again. Let's head up to the cage and get the introductions from Chris Garrity.
Ladies and gentlemen, this next bout is brought to you by Subs.com and features 3 championship rounds in our championship welterweight division. Introducing first, this man fighting out of the Coliseum Bar, red corner. He represents Rufus Sport and hails from Noblesville, Indiana. He is undefeated, 2 bouts, 2 victories. He weighed in at 169 pounds. Ladies and gentlemen, the challenger, Alex Wildcard Bowers. His opponent is this man, fighting out of the Harley-Davidson of Madison, blue corner. He represents the Chosen Few Gym and hails from right here in Madison, Wisconsin. An impressive amateur record, 5 victories, only 1 defeat. He also weighed in at 169 ready pounds. He is your reigning, your defending, your undisputed amateur welterweight champion, Dante Skiro!
A lot of hometown support for Dante Skiro. Why not? He comes right out of nearby Madison, La Follette, in one of the better wrestling backgrounds that you are going to find in this division. He, his brothers, everybody, they all wrestle at La Follette and have done very well for themselves. The thing about Skiro, we saw him a lot in 2017. He fought 5 times, very active, won all 5 fights. This is the first time that we are seeing him in 2018. So he's been off for about 7 months, a little bit of inactivity for a guy who had been very active.
Right, and sometimes that can be a positive thing, give a young fighter time to really hone some skills and learn some new things. Here we see him defending that takedown. He's got a good little chin strap going on. Bowers doing a good job with that lift, but Skiro maintaining control with that chin and getting right back up to his feet. Good action here so far. Not the traditional stand-up, bang it out that some fans like to see, but a really good grappling battle going on right now early in this round to find out who's going to have supremacy when they lock up.
Skiro's been one of those guys who has rapidly improved. We saw him and Alex Gilpin really take huge strides forward in 2017 out of the Chosen Few Gym. The other thing about Skiro, it kind of belies his wrestling background. Not a lot of submissions. 4 out of his last 5 wins have come by TKO. So he has really worked on his striking and to a lot of success as he won the amateur title his last time out, a first-round TKO over Ben Ross. That was back in October in Chosen Few Fighting Championship
right here,
number
he's got
12.
a deep guillotine in on Bowers. That is really tight under the chin right there. Bowers not moving. This could be it.
That is it. Wow, Bowers in trouble, ducked his head down. Skiro with the guillotine. I tell you what, very few fighters have progressed as rapidly as has Dante Skiro over his last 6 fights. He has been amazing and continues to shine as he defends his 170-pound title with a guillotine on Alex Bowers, who is still down on the mat. Nestor Rodriguez taking a look at him. A big win and the first defense of the title for Dante Skiro. We'll come back with the official word from Chris Garrity right after this on 57 Sports. Up to the cage we go after an impressive win by Dante Skiro. Chris Garrity's got the word.
Comes at 1 minute, 38 seconds of round number 1 for your winner by guillotine choke and still welterweight champion Dante Skiro.
Skiro has been on fire, 6 wins in a row. Let's hear from the champ.
His game plan was pretty obvious from the outset, looking to press you up against the cage and take you down, but he left his neck out there one too many times. Did you know that was his game plan coming in?
Yeah, I've looked him up a little bit, knew he was a wrestler, but I'm a wrestler too, and this ain't a wrestling match. It's mixed martial arts.
Leave your neck out there trying to take people down. I'm going to snatch it up.
Well, it looks like you stayed pretty calm against the cage. You obviously can attribute that to guys like Damian Decora, Kane Rizzo in your corner there, guys that really know the guillotine choke and can help you with that. Tell us a little bit about how you set it in once you turn that shoulder.
Yeah, I mean, his neck was real deep, and Alex Gilpin was calling for the little ninja choke that we like to use. But I got a nice guillotine. Shout out to Kane Rizzo for that, because he's the master of guillotines. I locked it in there, got my elbow up real high, cinched it in. He wasn't going to his back, so I took advantage of it.
Well, congratulations. You're now 6-1 and still the champion. Folks, let's give him one more round of applause. Your champion, Dante Schiro.
Second time Alex Gilpin has gotten a shout out for helping a Chosen Few Fighting champion win a fight. And Schiro walks off victorious with the strap and this one title fight here at Chosen Few Fighting Championships number 14 on 57 Sports. All right, after taking a look at 10 amateur fights, it is our first foray into professional fighting here tonight at Chosen Few Fighting Championships number 14. Taking a look now at Robert Walker III. Hey, Gerald, you know something about being a third. I'm only a junior, so I'm only a second generation name there. Robert Walker is a third as well. How do you earn the third? Why aren't you a junior as well?
So my grandfather and my great-grandfather were both named Gerald.
Okay, all right.
So it could be the grandfather and father, but in my case, it was my grandfather and great-grandfather.
I see.
And, you know, third time's a charm.
Exactly.
So
No doubt. As we take a look at Robert Walker, he hopes to feel that way 5-5 in his professional career. This guy's kind of interesting, and we're going to talk about it as you look at the tail of the tape. He's got a height advantage. He has also only been out of the first round once in his career. Looks for quick finishes or he gets finished quickly. He is known as the Sandman. That is Robert Walker. All right, let's take a look now at one of my favorite fighters, at least recently, Gonzalo Ponce.
Next up, his opponent, Gonzalo Ponce.
Here comes Gonzalo Ponce. This guy is a character, to say the least. He is a different dude. Kind of fights to the beat of his own drum, lives his life that way too. Here's a guy as well with congenital hypothyroidism. And so usually guys like that have problems cutting weight. They easily put weight on. He has not had that problem at all. Like I said, it's because he's a different kind of guy. Gonzalo was on the sports news just about a week ago, and I instantly fell in love with this guy. He's given up a couple inches in the ring, but he is not going to give up any heart in this fight tonight. Ponce and Walker right here, right now. The first of three professional fights. Let's send it up to the cage and Chris Garrity.
Fighting out of the Coliseum Bar, red corner. He represents Walker Mixed Martial Arts and hails from Dayton, Ohio. In 10 professional bouts, he has 5 victories. He weighed in at 124 pounds. Please welcome Robert Walker. His opponent, this man, fighting out of the Harley-Davidson of Madison, blue corner. He represents Felipe Barbosa, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Academy, and hails from Baraboo, Wisconsin. In 5 professional bouts, this man has 3 victories. He weighed in at 121 ready pounds. Please welcome Gonzalo Gremlin Ponce.
Ponce is not a stranger to this cage, although it has been a while. The last time that he appeared here was way back in Chosen Few Fighting Championships #5. That was just about 3 years ago. Now he makes his return looking for his 4th professional win. And it was really interesting. He expects Walker to be coming right at him, and then he said he's got a 95% chance to win if that's the case, because he expects Walker to come at his legs, and he thinks that plays to his strength. So far, Walker has not done that, probably to Ponce's surprise, but Ponce right in right now. He considers himself a jiu-jitsu specialist as he tries to take Walker down.
So far, Walker did a pretty good job keeping the distance and defending that first takedown, but now we see Ponce in. He's got a little body lock, got the leg wrapped up, and content to pull him down on top of him where he's comfortable on the mat. I'm assuming he's going to work a submission from the guard, being a jiu-jitsu specialist.
I was amazed at how likable I found Ponce to be, and also at his confidence. He seems supremely confident going into this fight for a guy with a record of 3-2, going up against a guy who's got a lot of experience in Robert Walker.
See right here, Walker's on top. He's kind of stifling his own strikes, but still in control. Ponce on the bottom there. He's got his feet in the right spot, but he needs to start getting a little more active with his guard. And there we see him climbing his legs up, looking to try and lock an arm down, try to get a submission. But right now we got kind of a stalemate position, as Ponce not trying to give up too much space, landing some elbow strikes here from the bottom, perhaps open up some space, and Walker just kind of grinding on top.
Yeah, as I had mentioned, Walker has never been, only actually one time out of the first round in his career. In 10 professional fights, has only made it to the second round one time. And so Ponce actually told me he doesn't think that this fight is going to get to a second round. He expects to use the aggressiveness of Walker against him to get a submission win here in the first round.
Yeah, Ponce right here looking for that triangle, and he passed the arm. He's got a nice lock. Still not close to finishing yet. He's got everything in the right spot. Just there he is, pulling that head down. He's got to get that lock just a little bit deeper. Walker trying to posture up and get that head out, but it's getting tighter and tighter in there. Ponce doing good to land some strikes with this lock. Just needs to angle his body a little bit more to his left. Just slowly cinching it up.
Last time that Ponce won was back in 2016. It was with a triangle finish. Now he's using the elbows and really doing damage to the head of Robert Walker. Ponce on his back but in control. Now Walker firing back with a couple hammer throws of his own.
Right here, Ponce's got this nice tight triangle. I'd say pull the head down, try to finish the submission, get that choke while you got the position. Walker doing everything he can to try to circle and get some space in there, landing some strikes.
Walker trying to get out of it now. His head, though, dipping further and further down with that triangle as Ponce has it locked in pretty good on Walker.
Yeah, he's got the position secure for sure. I'd sell out and go 2 hands on the head and look for that squeeze if I'm in Ponce's position. He's got him dead to rights. Why worry about striking when you can finish the fight right here? He's got his lock on that triangle, is loosening up a little bit. His leg is getting closer and closer to the toes. He really wants that leg that's on top to lock closer to the shin bone to really tighten that triangle up.
Wow, continues to strike, though, so he hasn't gone for the finish, but instead he will finish it with a bevy of strikes. Gonzalo Ponce told me before the fight it would not last one round. He would use Walker's aggressiveness against him, and he called it exactly. You gotta like a guy that knew how this fight was gonna go. And he went ahead and finished it off. Gonzalo Ponce with the victory as we take a look at the replay action here in the first and only round, as Ponce had that triangle lock in for most of the first round and now finishes off the fight by just striking the head of Robert Walker.
Right, TKO from the triangle. You know, it wasn't a lot of big damage, but the rule is intelligent defense.
Absolutely. Ponce, a first round TKO. Let's see his arm raised and get the official call from Chris Garrity up in the cage right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, the end of this bout comes at 3 minutes 43 seconds of round number 1 for your winner by TKO Gonzalo Gremlin Ponce.
Ponce a winner tonight, just like he expected the fight to go. He improves to 4-2 in his return to the Chosen Few Fighting Championships. 2 big professional fights to go. Don't go anywhere. You are locked in to CFFC 14 on 57 Sports.
Gonzalo Ponce defeats Robert Walker III. TKO, your first of your career. So what did you learn in a fight like that tonight?
I learned that anything can happen, and if I really, really want to do something, I can do it. I've been putting a lot of work in trying to get that TKO for like 4 years now.
Yeah, and it kind of started in in a choke, and all of your opponent's submission, all of his losses have come by submission at that point. So I don't know if that something you came into when you were researching your opponent to look into and say, well, I want to win by submission, or is that just more your style? It just happened to work out that way.
Well, there's not many videos out here on him to fight. Okay. So I couldn't watch very much. So I started looking at his record and I started doing the math of it. All his fights ended between the 1st and 3rd minute respectively. So I was like, all right, this guy's going to shoot on me. But this time I tried to shoot on him and I messed up. Yeah. So it ended up working out for me either way. And I didn't really have an idea what I wanted to do, except that I knew my self-defense that I've been training was going to pay off. It always does.
Yeah, and I did a little scouting on you, and it was looking like the go-go choke is one of your moves that people look for, but sometimes they just don't see it coming. So explain a little bit, because we didn't see it tonight, but what is the go-go choke?
So just think of a guillotine that instead of using the forearm, like most people do, and wrench up on the throat, I'm going to take my hand on the chin like I'm holding a football, and I'm going to bring the other one in. I'm going to hit the top of the throat right through here, and I'm going to carve it out as painfully as I can. And the best part about it is most people think they can get out because the head sits right here instead of my arm being around the neck. So I'm right there. They feel like they can get out, and in reality, they're just making it worse and more painful.
Well, that's very rude of you, but congratulations on the win anyway. And we look to seeing more of you. If you're going to be around Madison, stop by for more Chosen Few.
Will do.
All right. Well, that is Gonzalo Ponce, and we will have more Chosen Few fighting after this.
Time for our co-main event of the evening. You see the Mongolian flag being held up as Wookinwoo Amatushin. Say that 3 times fast. That one is a tongue twister. Doesn't look like Wookinwoo at all, but that's how you pronounce it. Wookinwoo Amatushin fighting for the first time ever in the United States. He is originally from Mongolia. He has fought in Mongolia, South Korea, Japan, and China, but never in the United States. In 10 professional fights, he's won 6 of them. 5 have come by way of knockout for Amatushin as he is getting set to make his U.S. debut. That's going to happen after we take a look at the Carbon World Health tail of the tape. As you look at Amatushin there, 3 inches shorter than Darren Oler, who we will get a chance to see making his way to the cage right now.
Next up, his opponent, Darren Oler.
Hey, we haven't seen Darren Oler come to the cage since Chosen Few Fighting Championships number 10. That was way back in January of last year. Oler ranked number 17 in the lightweight division in Wisconsin. That last time that we saw him fight, yeah, he lost to Patrick Delgado, who we're going to see in our main event right after this fight. Darren Oler, we are awaiting him coming through the curtains here at Monona Terrace. There he is. Oler to a thunderous round of applause from a packed house here at Monona Terrace. Again, it's been a while since we've seen him fight. Everyone excited to see what he can do as he climbs back into the cage. Oler, real nice guy to talk to before the fights. Looks like he is all business right now as he gets set to square off against the Mongolian Amatushin. There's a final look at the tail of the tape. Oler with 3 inches on Amatushin. Will it translate to an advantage in the cage? We'll find out right now as we go up to Chris Garrity.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your co-main event of the evening, brought to you by Carbon World Health and scheduled for 3 rounds in our welterweight division. Introducing first, this man fighting out of the Coliseum Bar red corner. He's weighed in at 168 ready pounds in 9 professional bouts. He has 5 victories. He hails from Mongolia and represents the Midwest Training Center. Please welcome to the cage, Hukinwu Lightning Amatushin.
Fight of the night. Was that Alexander?
His opponent, this man, fighting out of the Harley-Davidson of Madison blue corner. He hails from right here in Madison, Wisconsin, and represents the Chosen Fusion. He weighed in at 169 pounds and has a professional record, 5 victories, 4 defeats, 1 draw. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the cage, Darren the Roller Oler.
They love Oler here in Madison, and why not? When I talked with Oler about this fight, he said that he expects Amatushin to only want to strike. He might be right. Amatushin in his 10 fights, when he wins by knockout, never by submission. When he loses by knockout, never by submission. That's the calling card of a striker. I watched a couple of Amatushin's fights. He seems to be comfortable as a counter puncher and kicker. Oler said he likes to push the pace himself. Oler likes to get out there and force the pace. Oler said that he is also comfortable striking, but he's comfortable going to the ground as well, and he would like to get Amatushin on the ground where Amatushin doesn't like to be.
Yeah, Oler definitely coming out fast.
Wow, good kick.
Initiating the exchanges usually, but Hukinwu just comfortably sitting back, waiting for a shot. There we saw him get a nice little head kick, checking, really good job checking those leg kicks. Just kind of waiting for his time and then unloading a big strike. Another,
and that one caught Oler where you don't want to be caught, and so a quick timeout as he got it right in the groin. Oler's going to need to readjust and take a minute, and anybody who has ever felt that pain knows exactly why he needs a little bit of a breather. But you see Amatushin again in no hurry, does not want to grapple with Oler right here, is very content to stay at distance and try and strike with Oler here in the first round.
It definitely looked like it's going to be a stand-up battle unless Oler decides to initiate that takedown, but it's probably going to make him second guess when he's whipping those really hard leg kicks, especially when they hit you in the nuts.
Amatushin making his U.S. debut. Gerald, for you, when you fought in a different country and fought there for the first time, is it a different feel when you get in the cage?
So for me, so far, I haven't fought in a country where English wasn't the common language, so
Okay.
It might be a little bit different for Hukinwu, but, you know, generally once you're in the cage, it doesn't really matter. You know, I've had guys that I fought from other nations where I heard different languages in the crowd or from the corner, and doesn't really make a difference. It's another human being, 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head, and they're trying to punch your head off your neck. So when it comes down to it, another day in the office.
Absolutely. Hukinwu Amatushin ranked number 17 in China, number 11 in South Korea. By the way, there's over 1 billion Chinese, so that's a pretty good ranking right there to be ranked number 17. Like I said before, he's fought in Mongolia, Japan, South Korea, and China. Has never fought outside of Asia. By the way, also has a very strong left hand. In a couple of the fights that I saw him in, left-handed shots have ended the fight. 1-punch knockouts for Amatushin, so Oler would do well to stay away from that left hand. Right now, it looks like he's getting his wind back after being kicked in the groin. Oler, by the way, an interesting background for him. Most guys learn to do their fighting either through wrestling or something along those lines. Oler learned to fight on skates first, a hockey background in Stoughton.
A nice little pat on the back, initiation back to the fight for the two fighters. Hukenwu a little more movement now, throwing a little crescent kick there, and Oler immediately in for that shot. Hukenwu moving off, landing a little something on the way out. Nice leg kick.
Oler would like to see what Hukenwu can do on the ground, but Amatushin in no hurry to get there. He prefers striking, and it looks like he's got some good kicking ability. Strong, heavy kicks.
Walking Oler down, really not giving any care in the world to anything Oler throws at him, and he's definitely got the edge on the feet right now. Definitely looks to be a more seasoned fighter in the striking area, and Oler just not liking what he's seeing in front of him, kind of wide-eyed and looking for that takedown.
Absolutely. Oler continues to back up. Amatushin has used head kicks, front kicks, low kicks, everything to get at Oler. Another good kick to the left thigh of Darren Oler as Amatushin continues to come forward with the feet.
Yeah, Hukenwu is just beating up that lead leg of Oler. It's going to be really hard for him to move out of the way now. Throws that big overhand right and a big left hook, but he just keeps eating away at that lead leg like that. Eventually, Oler's not going to be able to move around. He's going to get caught by one of those big bombs.
Yeah, Darren Oler would be smart to be wary of that left hand of Amatushin. Like I said, he can knock you out with it, and he almost caught Oler right there, and he sends Oler down once again. Again, Amatushin not going to follow him down, though, to the ground right here, as this is a striking match for him.
Oler got in deep there, and Amatushin used that little whizzer he had for a nice little dunk to create some space. And now Amatushin getting closer and closer to touching that chin.
Amatushin doing a great job of just finding openings and using both striking blows and his feet to catch Oler. Oler sustained a lot of punishment here in the first round.
Yeah, Oler really needs to get that chin down and really commit to one of these shots, try to get this fight to the ground. And if he can't get a successful takedown, at least run Amatushin into the cage, get his back to the cage where he can unload these lethal strikes.
Yeah, right now Amatushin just controlling the center of the cage, stalking Oler all around the cage, if you will, and Oler trying to find some kind of opening to Amatushin. Amatushin backs him up into the cage once again, and another flurry ensues.
And now we see Amatushin, what he does really well when he comes in, he starts moving his head off the center line and he keeps his chin down. Every time Oler throws, especially that right hand, his chin stays up in the air, and that really worries me, like right there.
Look out, yeah.
Leaning away. Hukenwu
right.
coming in, trying to hit him with that two-piece and a biscuit, backing him into the cage and looking here.
Absolutely. Oler tries to counter with a right of his own, but Amatushin has been scoring as he continues to stalk Darren Oler here in the first round.
And this is the first fight I've seen tonight where Hukenwu is using a really good job of parrying punches on the inside and blocking on the inside. Anything that loops, he's blocking before it even gets to him. They're a good jab by Oler.
Yeah.
But overall, parrying a lot of the punches and stifling any offense.
Oler, though, continues to backpedal and get away from Amatushin. Amatushin tried a big right but missed.
Oler now opening up a little bit more with the strikes. Nice spinning back fist. He's realizing he's got to get a little more volume going if he's going to have any chance of staying in this fight.
15 seconds left in the first round. Oler again going for a takedown. Amatushin having nothing of it, as it might behoove Oler to get back into the corner, get some instruction on how to take down Amatushin in the second round.
Nice catch and return by Hukenwu.
Big left by Oler, misses, but Oler survives that first round. A lot of good action, and the crowd likes it, as you are seeing a very good pro fight here on 57 Sports. Taking a look at some of the damage that Hukenwu Amatushin got on Darren Oler here in the first round, inflicting head shots and leg kicks. Look at that. I mean, Amatushin has been in control, mostly walking Oler down here in the first round.
Yeah, the whole first round. Hook and Woo just moving forward, staying calm, and then releasing those strikes with absolute malice.
No doubt about it. Chris Garrity seeing violent shots here in that first round by Amatushin. So if you're Darren Oler now and you're facing a guy with the striking ability of Amatushin, GM3, what do you do, man? How do you get him down?
If I'm an Oler scholar, I'm telling him, first of all, he's got to tuck that chin when he goes in, especially on the inside when Amatushin throws those big bombs. Now he's doing a better job of pushing forward, landing that stiff jab. But if I want the takedown, chin needs to come down. I need to come in with straight punches, get Hook and Woo to open up with that big hook, and as he's throwing that big punch, I'm in on my double leg and drive until the cows come home.
Oler doing a better job of landing some strikes here in the second round as he just evades a big left hand from Amatushin.
Right now we see Hook and Woo taking a couple bigger breaths, moving back a little bit more than he did in the first round. Oler looks like he's woken it up a little bit, possibly some fatigue, throwing those big strikes, but here again, back to that lead leg. If I'm an Amatushin's corner, I'm saying eat up that lead leg all night long, and there's a big overhand right. Put Oler on notice.
And a big left, and that left has got a lot of power, and it drives Oler
he's
back,
hurt,
and
he's hurt.
Trouble. Couple of rights. Amatushin now going in for the kill. Tries a right leg there. Now that big left once again, and Oler's got to hang on here.
He's got to change his level and grab onto something and keep that chin down. Every time he leans back, he's eating one of those big overhands.
I'm impressed right now with the chin of Darren Oler. He has taken some big shots here by the Mongolian, who continues to inflict heavy damage onto the body of Darren Oler.
Oler doing everything he can to stay alive. Right here, he needs to get back on that nice long jab, pop Amatushin, give him a reason to stay off him, because Amatushin is going to corner him, and right there, going to land another one of those big bombs.
Amatushin very skilled at counter punching, and boy, he is just beating up the left leg of Darren Oler. Those low kicks are really scoring.
Yeah, Oler almost looked like he buckled there. Again, if I'm an Amatushin's quarter, I'm working that lead leg a little bit more and waiting on that big shot. Swing and a miss.
Amatushin and Oler both smiling at that one. Doesn't seem to be a lot of malice between the two, but definitely violence coming from those big blows of the Mongolian. Amatushin again, big kick to the back of the thigh of Oler.
And we see Oler, he keeps circling to his left, which is the incorrect thing to do against another orthodox fighter. Not only is he circling into that big overhand right, he's circling right into that leg kick that's been eating him up all night long. He needs to start circling the other way, using that long jab to move to his right to set up his own right hand.
Absolutely.
And negate some of the offense of Hook and Woo.
Oler's jab has been effective. He's just got to start circling the other way with it now. Good call there, GM3, as that jab landed again by Oler, as did another kick by Amatushin.
And Amatushin reveling in the fire here, more than happy to get a little bloody in there in a fist fight. Little cut opened up on the right eye. Amatushin saying whatever to those body shots by Oler. Oler, at least here in this second round, realizing he's got to open up, putting up more of a fight. Definitely a good professional stand-up scrap here in the second round.
There is a cut over the right eye of Amatushin, but right now seems to be coming down the side of his face and not directly into the eye. So right now, it is not causing the kind of damage that Oler wishes that it would be causing, and not causing the kind of blindness that he was hoping to get from Amatushin. Amatushin, I tell you what, he just keeps coming forward.
Well, he is a guy that loves to get in there and throw. Like you said, live by the sword, die by the sword. Always wins by KO, always losses by KO. In there swinging. Oler needs more lateral movement here like he's been doing. Stick and move with that jab, maybe catch him when he's off balance, but Hook and Woo just walking him down and trying to throw these lethal strikes. Another big leg kick.
A lot less MMA, a lot more kickboxing is what we're seeing in the cage here in this one. It's been a beaut so far as Darren Oler staying alive, inflicting some damage here in round number 2. Has done a better job of it, but boy, it is that right leg of Amatushin that continues to chop down the left leg of Darren Oler.
Right, another big hook from Hook and Woo. I think Oler's hurt again, and he's just done a really good job eating those shots and recovering. But at a certain point, your chin's going to have a shelf life, and even in this short 15 minutes, you can't take too much more of those before your body gives out and says, hey, man, I'm done.
Oler has exhibited a great chin so far, even absorbing another left by the Mongolian, who continues to move forward with combinations. Wow, great second round. Continuous action between the two. Amazing fight. We are headed to the third and final round. Amatushin and Oler, third round next here on 57 Sports. We replay some of the incredible action and pace of round number 2. Amatushin and Oler, both fighters exchanging big, huge blows in the second round.
Yeah, both fighters giving the crowd exactly what they want. This is a stand-up war right now. Neither guy really backing down. Oler eating shots, Hukenwu dishing them out. Beautiful thing.
One thing I think that both fighters have gained, and that is the respect of each other as they have absorbed damage and delivered damage as well in this one. What a beauty of a fight. As we go to the third round, we've had blood, we've had guts, we've had it all. Round 3, here we go. Oler and Amatushin, it is becoming an instant classic, and now Oler going for that takedown. He is more aggressive for a takedown here in the third round. Instead, he gets sent down by Amatushin, who's doing a great job of defending against it.
Right there, what Oler did in the beginning of the round was what he should have been doing the whole fight. Rush him with those straight punches, get the takedown, and then Hukenwu doing a good job getting chest to chest, getting off the cage, and then landing that big overhand right, smacking Oler right in the jaw. And there again with that leg kick. At the end of that last round, when Oler went back to his corner, he was limping a little bit on that leg, and I'm not sure how much more it's going to be able to take.
Well, we have seen almost everything. One thing we have not seen is this fight go to the ground. Oler would love to see it. Amatushin trying to keep it from going there. I'm interested to see what would happen if Oler could actually drop the Mongolian.
Yeah, I mean, so far, Hukenwu hasn't been eating too many big shots, but Oler here doing a better job closing the distance. Now he's got to keep him here and land some strikes, but Hukenwu always game getting right off that cage, and now look for another big overhand right and another leg kick out of Hukenwu.
Oler just missed with a big right hand. Amatushin did not. That scored. So did that left right there from Hukenwu.
Right here, Oler's really got to tuck that chin when he comes in. He's playing with fire when he closes that distance with his head up in the air with a guy like Hukenwu.
Oler this time is the aggressor. He is stalking Hukenwu here in the third round. Amatushin trying to counter. Once again, working that left leg of Darren Oler. Not much there on those connecting right there. Not a lot of steam. Front kick by Oler, and there's that counter left by Amatushin.
And man, just the toughness of Oler. Each round, he's gotten more and more damage and successively came out harder and harder the consecutive round, as if the punishment urges him to go even harder. You know, he's taking steps in the right direction, but it's just too little, too late. Hukenwu staying on his path as he should be, throwing those big bombs, slipping punches on the inside. Right there we see him parrying, kind of stifling strikes, throwing that leg kick and getting just big hooks and big overhands all night long.
Oler's got half the round left to try and take Amatushin down. Once he gets him down, he's going to have to go for the submission, as Amatushin has delivered so much damage to Oler here in the first 2 rounds.
You guys, oh, and
there's a big right hand.
Oler's hurt, really hurt.
Oler getting knocked down by the right of Amatushin. Now a left, a right to the body. Oler backing up as he is in trouble here in round number 3.
Hukenwu smells blood. He's going for broke. He's throwing everything in the kitchen sink at Oler. Oler's doing everything he can to hang on.
Man, how could you not be impressed with the heart of Darren Oler here tonight? He has caught some tremendous shots from the Mongolian, but still is standing in the center of the cage and trying to dish it out.
And I got to be honest with you, I'm not sure Darren Oler knows where he is right now, but he is still putting up one heck of a fight.
Absolutely. He is very game, all heart here in this one. Amatushin continuing to come forward. Now he backs up just a bit to gain some distance here. A minute and a half left for Oler to try and get Amatushin to the ground. Not sure what happened here, but Amatushin went right back. He's winking as that cut above his eye might be bothering him.
May have been an accidental eye poke, couldn't really see, but either way, we're back to the action. And here we see Oler backing on another takedown. And one thing you'll hear fighters really talk about a lot is posture. And this is one of the reasons that Oler can't get one of his takedowns is every time Hukenwu comes in, his level's a little bit lower. He can slip punches, he can rip punches back, and Oler right there, he leans back and stands up straight. If your level is higher than your opponent's, especially if you want to take them down in any martial art, it's going to be a lot harder. You got to make up that space and get lower. Whereas Hukenwu's already low, waiting to defend that shot, and that's something that after this fight, hopefully Oler can go and look at on the tape and work on in the gym.
Low center of gravity working to the advantage of Amatushin, and wow, a big left, and Oler just eats it and keeps on coming. Man, the fans love it. Making noise here at Monona Terrace.
Man, both these guys are just loving being in there. Hukenwu urging them on, saying, let's go. Oler eating everything. He's got a chin of steel in there, giving it everything they got in this last round of the fight.
This has been an instant classic here at Monona Terrace. The fans on their feet, standing ovation, and why not? That was 3 rounds of war. What a battle. Amatushin and Oler. It goes to the judges. The decision is next here on 57 Sports. Wow. One of the cool things about looking back at the replays of this fight is no matter what replay you show, it's going to be action-packed. I mean, it was an amazing fight. Amatushin and Oler going the distance. Gerald, not one time were they on the ground grappling.
Man, neither guy really backing down. Oler eating some shots. Hukenwu hitting him with that 1-2 and a biscuit all night long. Darren Oler saying, nah, cuz I'm hungry for seconds, bring it. Just an action-packed fight from start to finish. Great
I can't
stuff.
believe, how Oler was eating some of those shots from Amatushin. Heavy punches, heavy kicks. It was an absolute beauty. Everybody amazed by this. You just see everybody smiling, saying, what a great fight. Mongolian flag on display, draping Hukenwu Amatushin. Chris Garrity's in the cage. Here we go for the decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we get to an official decision, come on, one more round of applause for a fantastic fight. After 3 rounds of welterweight action, we go to the judges' scorecards. All 3 judges have it the same. 30-27 in favor of your winner by unanimous decision, and fighting out of the red corner, Hukenwu Lightning Amatushin.
Oler not happy with the call, but man, what a valiant effort by Darren Oler. No one can ever question his heart, his chin, or his desire, but Amatushin just in the end got the better of him, scored a little bit more, and ends up taking the fight in his United States debut. Wow, how do you top that? GM3, we're going to try to do it in the main event that is coming up next. Patrick Delgado, Brandon Suber, your main event here next on 57 Sports.
I'm going to try and say it right. Hukenwu Amatushin taking down Darren Oler in his pretty much own backyard, and my voice is gone from all the yelling and screaming going on, but in a fight like this, staying on your feet was going to be important. So how did you avoid being taken down by Darren Oler?
Darren Oler-ыг одоо өөрийнх нь дэвжин дээр нь буулгаж авлаа. Хүмүүсийг суудал дээрээс нь босгож авлаа. Би орисоор хоолоо өвдсөн байна. Тэг хөл дээрээ зогсомжгүй та юу яаж буулгаж авсан бэ гэж байна. Яаж хожвоо, яаж яатаа байгаа.
Энэ бол нэг миний бэлтгэл сайн хийсний үр дүнд буулгаж авлаа. Өрсөлдөгч маань үнэхээр сайн бэлтгэл хийсэн. Сайн тамирчин байна.
So my opener is very good. So this is my first fight in the USA, and for this one I had training very hard. I came to USA like 4 months ago, and the 4 months was for this tonight fight.
And how much research went into, how did you know Darren Oler, and how much research did it take to get ready for this fight?
Тэр дайны нөтрийг одоо яаж мэдсэн бэ? Ер нь энэ тулаанд яаж ирсэн бэ? Энэ холбоонд яаж холбогдож ирсэн бэ?
Энэ талаанд манай рагбигийн дүү зол баяр гэдэг манай энэ залуу Монголоос урилга гаргаж Алекс гэ MTC-г том клуб бэлтгэл хийх боломж ичээр тэгээ энэ ч тоглож байгаа.
So we are representing the MTC from Illinois Schaumburg, and I connected with the Alex. He's our coach, and we just come here and we decided to fight in CFC and decided.
Well, how did you, let's just get your reaction. You win. Give me the overall thought about what it's like to win and all that hard work has paid off.
Энэ хожныг одоо яаж илэрхийлэх вэ? Ингээд маш хүнд тулаан болтой одоо хожлоо хөлсөө одоо гаргаж иж сайхан болж хожлоо гэнэ тийм.
Тэ өнөөрөө маш сэтгэл зүйн өдрөг байна. Өрсөлдөгч маань маш бэлтгэл сайтай хүчтэй тамирчин байна. Өрсөлдөж ялсандаа маш их баяртай байна.
So tonight I am very happy, and also my opener is very in good condition, and thank you for everything. Thank you for my opener, thank you for CFC, and thank you for our coach Alex and MTC.
Yes, well, we thank you for stopping by and taking a moment, and congratulations on the win. Woo Can Woo, Martushin defeating Darren Oler in the 170-pound bout.
All right, we've made it to the main event right now as Brandon Suber is making his way to the cage, and this is a guy that we have seen in some battles as well. Tough to get a grip on him, tough to score any damage on him. We saw him in a great fight against Mark Lemminger, in which Suber broke Lemminger's nose. So Suber is definitely game and definitely a tough fighter. So we're looking forward to this one and seeing him at the top of the card. Suber, as tough as he has been, has lost 3 straight, 2 by decision and 1 in that controversial submission to Mark Lemminger just about a year and a half ago in Chosen Few Fighting Championships. Number 10, we saw him lose to Craig Eckelberg back here in January of this year. Oh, there's Suber in the cage. Now here comes a crowd favorite in Patrick
Next
Delgado.
Up, his opponent, Patrick Delgado.
Interesting to note that in the background of our last fighter, Darren Oler, was a hockey background. Believe it or not, Patrick Delgado has a soccer background. Played soccer at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, a UW-Madison guy. Once taught at Monkey Bar Gym in Madison, now teaches and owns Fearless MMA in Janesville, and it's hard to talk over all of the noise that the crowd is making here at Monona Terrace for this guy. Definitely a crowd favorite. We saw him defeat Darren Oler back in Chosen Few Fighting Championships number 10. That was in a unanimous decision back on January 14th of 2017. Patrick Delgado making his way to the cage. One more look at the Carbon World Health tail of the tape, and then it is fight time. Delgado and Suber. Let's go to the cage. And one, Chris Garrity with the introduction.
Ladies and gentlemen, this bout is brought to you by Harley-Davidson of Madison and sanctioned by the Department of Safety and Professional Services Program Director Matt Reynolds. Your cage side physician for this bout, Dr. Nestor Rodriguez. Your judges, Melody Wickers, Anthony Zamatalo, and Gabriel Sabetis, with timekeeper Micah Coppice, and the man in charge of this bout, veteran referee Tom DeBellis. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've all been waiting for, this is your main event of the evening. 3 rounds Introducing first, this man fighting out of the Coliseum Bar red corner. He weighed in at 164 pounds. He hails from Dayton, Ohio. In 15 bouts, he has 7 victories and represents Walker Mixed Martial Arts, Brandon Suber. His opponent is this man, fighting out of the Harley-Davidson of Madison blue corner. In 7 professional bouts, he has 4 victories. He weighed in at 164 ready pounds. He hails from Janesville, Wisconsin, and represents Fearless Mixed Martial Arts. Ladies and gentlemen, Patrick the Ghost Delgado.
The Ghost trying to rise here tonight against Suber, as Delgado a big crowd favorite in his last bout, though he lost in a split decision to another crowd favorite, that in Mark Lemminger. So Delgado, when I talked to him before the fight, he told me it's not going to be like the Oler Amatushin fight. He expects this to be a grinding match against Brandon Suber.
Well, right away we see Suber circling what would generally be considered the wrong direction. He's circling right into Delgado's power. All he's got to do is let loose on that right hand or a big right high kick or body kick, and he could really hurt Suber right now. Suber just walking just willingly right into that quote-unquote wrong spot.
Yeah, Delgado felt as well that as tough as Suber is and as hard as he is to get a grip on, he thinks what Suber does actually plays right into his strengths. And one of those things is what you're talking about right there. He's walking right into his power side.
Right, if I'm in Delgado's corner right now, Suber comes in with those little padding jabs. I'm telling him to parry that jab and just throw a right hand right down the middle, because Suber is lining himself up right down the pipe for Delgado's power shot.
Good left there by Delgado. Both guys have fought Mark Lemminger, both with varying success, I guess, as Delgado a loser in a split decision. Suber lost in a controversial type matchup as he broke Lemminger's nose, had Lemminger hurt. Then the ref kind of broke them up, brought them both back to their feet. As soon as that happened, Lemminger was able to strike and get a victory in that one. But they broke it up when Suber had control of Lemminger, and some people felt it was kind of controversial. Lemminger continued on his winning path at that time.
And now still we see kind of a feeling out process. They got clinched up for a second, but both guys really trying to find where their range is, how far they want to come in. And then we see Delgado stepping in with that jab as Suber steps in for a punch of his own. And there he goes with that right high kick. Nice little hook, touch the chin of Suber.
Delgado, a teacher of jiu-jitsu, and definitely expects to use it here tonight against Suber. You see, he's a pretty accomplished striker as well, as I'm actually kind of surprised that Suber right now hasn't gone for takedowns. He's a grinder and a guy who likes to get down on the ground.
Right, and just earlier we saw Delgado finally let that right hand go. Nice little stepping elbow. Suber gets out of there, but I think if Suber wants that takedown, he's got to get a little more active with those hands. Stop circling to his left, circle to the right a little bit, and get a hold of that lead leg of Delgado. Delgado, I think, could do well here to establish a nice long jab, maybe pepper him from the outside before he opens up with some more combinations.
Good left there by Delgado. Delgado, a second-generation combat sport kind of a guy. His dad was a boxer and also a kickboxer in the old PKA days.
Yep, and that being the Point Karate Association.
Nice.
So a little bit different style of kickboxing than your Glories or Muay Thai boxing, but an effective martial art nonetheless. Still a lot of tough guys coming out there. My own coach, Duke Rufus, from back in those early kickboxing days, we say Delgado land a nice right. Now they're tied up.
Big right to the chin of Suber, and now Suber trying to hold on. Is actually that big right cut him. There's a cut over the left eye of Brandon Suber as he got caught big time by Delgado, and now Delgado and Suber grappling here a little bit. This is the kind of grind that Patrick Delgado thought this match would become.
There we go. We see him get that little leg lace takedown, and now he steps right into mount. Great spot for Delgado. You see him cinching up his legs here, trying to establish control. Suber trying to turn one way. He's giving up his back right here. That might be under the chin.
And if it is, this is big trouble for Brandon Suber. Delgado holding on here to a rear choke, and does he have it in? No, Suber able to get away. Suber, one of those guys that is really good at escaping, but he might not escape that. No, he got out of one and walked right into another, and Patrick Delgado, to the thunderous roar of the sold-out crowd here at Monona Terrace, gets a first-round victory by the chokehold. Big win by Patrick Delgado as we take a quick look at the replay and the finish for Delgado, as there is the chokehold, sets it in on Suber, he taps out, and Delgado back on the winning track with a win against a tough opponent here in our main event.
Here we see Delgado has the back. He's trying to get that rear naked choke. You don't need the hooks in if you have the neck secure, but Suber does a good job pushing that elbow. See his chin gets free right there. As soon as Suber shoots for that little head outside single, Delgado snatches up that neck, and it's all she wrote.
He got out of one choke right into the other, out of the frying pan and into the proverbial fire. Suber choked out. Let's go to the cage.
At 4 minutes, 16 seconds of round number one. Field winner by guillotine choke, Patrick the Ghost Delgado.
Delgado giving this sold-out crowd what they wanted, and that was a victory for Patrick Delgado. He talks to Chris Garrity.
Submission. You initially had him in a rear naked choke with no hooks in. Couldn't finish the job, but then you sunk in that guillotine. How'd you feel that first round?
Oh man, I knew Brandon was so tough. He's just a crazy, awesome competitor. And I knew I probably wouldn't get him in the first or second submission attempt. So I wanted to be really mobile, really fluid, so whatever he did, I wanted to stay glued to him and keep attacking. So that's kind of what I did. I knew he was going to choke jab to the choke, but I was trying to get him to open up something else. And then he turned into me, and I was like, yes. So that's like my move. And everyone, ask everyone at the gym, they know that move pretty well.
Well, you have a lot of fans here tonight, and they're glad to see you win in our main event. One more time, ladies and gentlemen, let's give them a big round of applause. Your main event winner, Patrick Delgado.
I love you guys. Thank you. Love you, Janesville. Madison, love you all.
Well, if you're in the Madison or Janesville area, you know this face very well. Patrick Delgado has been in chosen few fights before. This time he takes on Brandon Suber, gets the win. A quick fight. We maybe didn't expect that, but you know, a fight that ended very quickly. So kind of walk us through. You ended up, it looked like you started in like a rear naked choke. Suber slipped out, and then you end up going into what they call the guillotine. So how did you get into that position?
Yeah, okay, so I had him on the fence, and I was pressuring into him. I wanted to get the sweep, but he was defending pretty well. I know he's got a Greco-Roman background, so I knew the upper body stuff was going to be hard on him, so I did a low leg trip on him, an outside leg trip, and then got him down. Went for the choke. I knew that he was going to be really good. He's very good at defending from all the tape I've watched on him. Yeah. And I was just ready to go from one submission to another, to another, to another, to another. That's just my style. And so when he scooted out of the choke, I went for the, it's called the Marcellotine. I got for the crooked guillotine. And once I had it, I knew it. And so I dove in for it, and it was done. It was done. And I get that one all the time. That's like one of my signatures. So
yeah, so it felt pretty good.
Yeah, once I had it, I was like, yes, like, I got it. I knew this Suber, he's a tough guy, and he's a grinder. I didn't really want to have that random fight.
Yeah, right.
If I could finish it early, I was going to try for it.
Yeah. So the last time we saw you was chosen few 12. You took on Mark Lemminger. It was ended up going to a split decision. I know you were disappointed the way that one ended because it was a medical thing too. So how does it feel to like end it? Not only did it not have to go to the card, and you were able to end it by your own decision. So I guess just the feelings of finishing it and being like, good, I did it how I wanted to do it.
Yeah, it's exhilarating to get a submission, obviously, and to get a finish. I really wanted to go out and make a statement. I wanted to go and show off my jiu-jitsu skills. I'm a black belt, and I haven't had a submission in a few fights, so I wanted to go and show that, demonstrate that, and bring it back to my roots. Couple of my guys were here. Jose won, and Gonzalo won too. All three of us won tonight. So great show of jiu-jitsu tonight. It was awesome, and so I couldn't be happier. My whole Janesville crowd came in, and the tons of people from Madison were cheering me on too. I felt the love, I felt the energy. It was awesome.
Yeah, as an instructor, for sure, to see your athletes succeed too. So then, what's next for you?
Whatever Josh Sterry wants from me. This guy, he's amazing. He's always been working with me. He doesn't ever pressure me into fight right away. He's really good working with the fighters. I feel like the Chosen Few Fighting Championships is the best card in Wisconsin, the best event. Not just saying that because I'm on it right now and I just won and I'm on a high. But I really do. He treats the fighters so well. He goes out of his way, with media, with ticket sales. It's just a great event all the way through and through. So I'd love to keep fighting here. So we'll guess whatever he wants from me, and we'll talk more and hopefully be back soon.
All right. Well, again, congratulations and good luck in the future.
All right. Thank you.
All right, Patrick Delgado. Well, you probably recognize this man. This will be Josh Sterry, who brings us the Chosen Few action each and every time it's on Channel 57. So thank you for stopping by, and thank you for bringing this once again. What were your thoughts on the night, and what were the best fights, or the best fight, and the best finish?
It seems like every show just blows me away, on what happens. We always have challenges coming up to these fights, and it's disappointing and stressful and hard. But at the end of the night, we're always like, that was amazing. Those were awesome fights. All these fighters put their heart and soul. They come in this cage, they leave it all in the cage, and it's amazing. Fight of the night, we got our co-main event, Darren Ola versus Amra, who was our first international fighter from Mongolia. So it was interesting and a pleasure to have those guys on board, but they left it all in the cage. So they get the Fight of the Night award, and then finishing the night went to Jacob Jossert with his knockout, which you get two big guys like that, built like that in the cage, you never know what's going to happen, and that's what happened. So,
and what's becoming more regular, you're having a couple female fights on the card. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, the female fights are always fan favorites. They love it. Sometimes it's a challenge getting good quality fights just because there's not as many female athletes in the area. So we do our best. We brought 2 athletes in from Michigan, and they did a great job. And we had the Labai twins that obviously came out game. So it's great, and we hope to have more for sure.
Well, what can we expect for the next Chosen Few event? I mean, you build on what you've done so far from all the Chosen Few events. It just keeps getting better and better. So what's next on the next card?
September 22nd. It's going to be CFFC 15.
Already.
And we got a couple surprises up our sleeve, and we continue to try to make this show better. We add different overhead screens, we add more fights, we add more lighting, all that stuff. So we've got some surprises coming, and we're excited. So tune in.
I think that's called a tease in the biz, so you can get your tickets when they become available. ChosenFewFC.com. Josh Sterry, thank you so much for joining us, and congrats again on another great show.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, we get to put a wraps now on Chosen Few Fighting Championships number 14. What a night, as we got to see a lot of amateur fights, but when we got to the top of the cards, when we really got it going tonight, it started with Dante Sciro being able to defend his title at 170 pounds. We've seen Dante Sciro now rattle off 6 victories in a row, and man, this guy is just hot as a pistol right now.
I talked to Damian Decora, one of his trainers, right after the fight, and Damian says to me, he just needs to make those fights last a little bit longer. He was pretty dominating. You could tell what the game plan was for his opponent. Smash and grab, grab him up against the cage, take him down, but Sciro wasn't having any of it. Locked in a beautiful, beautiful guillotine choke. Anybody that's ever trained with Kane Rizzo knows where that comes from, so it was pretty nasty, Gerald.
Yeah, no, he looked great out there. He did a really good job stifling that wrestling against the cage. Even the one takedown that was secured popped right back up to his feet. I was very impressed how calm he stayed and collecting that neck and then really waiting until he got the perfect spot to secure that choke. Great stuff by Sciro.
Our fight of the night had no takedowns at all. An amazing battle between Darren Oler and Wuku. Wait, hold on. I'm going to try this again. Wukuwu Amatushin, something like that. I should get his name right because he earned that.
Yeah.
Wow, was he impressive.
His nickname was Lightning, and I had said it to you and a few people during the fight. There is beautiful technique, the Anderson Silvas, the John Jones, and then there's violent technique, just straight bad intentions, and everything that kid threw, was as fast as I've ever seen here in Madison and as powerful as I've seen here in Madison. And what you really have to give credit to Darren Oller, how he stood up for all 3 rounds of that fight and how his legs stood for all 3 rounds of that fight. But still, Amr Tushin was amazing.
Absolutely. We also saw Gonzalo Ponce win in the other professional fight, and then the cherry on top, Patrick Delgado winning in front of a big crowd as well. And Gerald, what did you think about the top of the card tonight in our main event?
You know, it was a really good fight. Delgado did a good job really picking his shots. You know, he kept his distance, and then when he wanted to pounce on that submission after he lost the first rear naked, Suber just kind of fell right into his lap. He made sure he got the angle right with the choke, and then he secured it, and still can't say enough good things about Hook and Woo. Man, a fighter's fighter. It was great. The whole night of fights was awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, in another word on Delgado, he's one of the nice guys in the sport, very similar to GM3, so you're always happy to see him win. But obviously, with that crowd behind him and that slick submission he put in, it was good to see him come out with that main event victory.
Gerald, you're going to be fighting next in Vegas. You got a Polish fighter that is on the card for you, I believe. Oskar Piechota, he's undefeated. What do you know about him? How's that fight going to go down in July?
So what I know about him so far is 2-0 in the UFC. He looks like a tough young kid. He's undefeated. I believe he's 11-0-1. So I don't know if it's a draw or no contest or what, but he's up. He's on the rise. He seems to be a tough grappler, and he throws some heat on the hand. So I'm looking forward to the scrap. Another tough finale. Last time I did that, I got myself a nice little bonus check and a knockout. So we see if we can't make it a GM3 Pete.
That would be outstanding. We are looking forward to that. Again, that's going to be Friday in July. I'll mention it's on FS1. You can check it out as well. So, Gerald, great job tonight. Thanks to, he saved a lot of your voice tonight.
He did.
Chris, a little bit under the weather. Yeah, he was able to save his voice for the cage. We had a great time. We hope you enjoyed it as well. For Eric Rogers, Chris Garrity, and GM3, I am Rich Reynolds. We'll see you next time from the Chosen Few Fighting Championships right here on 57 Sports.